Welcome back, everyone. This is Dave from the Core Productions Deep Dive TV podcast. My co-host Stacie here to talk about It's a Wonderful Life, the classic 1946 flick for Christmas month. Merry Christmas, everyone. It's not Christmas yet. We still got a long month to go before we actually get there. But nevertheless, happy Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
All that jazz.
All those good things. It's December anyways.
Yes.
And we're talking about, holiday stuff.
And 1946, this makes this the earliest thing that we have ever covered on this channel thus far.
Yes.
I don't think there's anything even close to that at this time. Maybe some of the Baskin and Robbins thing. The Baskin...
Rankin and Bass.
Rankin and Bass. Not Baskin Robbins.
We need to cover some Baskin Robbins for sure.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so the movie's description reads as follows. An angel is sent from heaven to help a desperately frustrated businessman see the value of his own life. The movie is based on a story by Philip Van Doren Stern, born September 10th, 1900, died July 31st, 1984 at the age of 83. That's the other thing is, most of the people associated with this film are dead. They are no longer living. This is a very old film.
Very old.
I'm not going to go through every single person who's dead in the film because then this would be a very gruesome podcast.
Just assume they're dead for the most part.
I will actually point out the people that are still living.
Okay.
That's easier to do at this point. Yes. All right. So the screenplay was by Albert Hackett and Frank Capra. Joe Swirling and Michael Wilson also contributed to the script. The movie was directed by Frank Capra, 59 credits as a director, including It Happened One Night, 1934, Mr. D Goes to Town, 1936, and Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, 1939. His last film was a documentary, Rendezvous in Space, 1964. According to Prime Trivia, this is the first and last time that Capra would produce, direct, co-write, and finance one of his films. Before going any further, I'll tell you a couple things. One, this is not a perfect podcast, so if you haven't watched this movie that's like 100 years old...
Not quite 100.
Okay, fair enough. Feel free to go and check it out and then come back and give us a listen. Secondly, if you're listening on one of the platforms of this podcast is now available on, please follow. And feel free to check out our YouTube channel, Core Productions, where additional content can be discovered. If you're already on our YouTube channel, please like, share, and comment, and subscribe to our channel. All right, so Stacie, your thoughts on this week's movie?
Okay, so definitely different than what we usually do. It was weird trying to get the credits to talk about this movie because, like you said, most of them, their whole lives have gone past, and we're seeing the entirety of their lifetime achievements when we look at their credits, right? Most of the people in this movie have hundreds and hundreds of credits. Even the little people that don't even talk in this movie, because, by the way, there's 135 people in this movie, and guess what? I'm going to tell you about all of them.
Yeah, a lot of them are uncredited, which is...
Most of them are uncredited. I feel like crediting just worked different back then. I'm going to guess this is, pre any kind of SAG contract where if you talk, you get a credit, because half of the uncredited people in this film do talk and do have roles that would be credited today. And then there's still other uncredited listings for people that are just kind of like background or whatever. But yeah, 135 people listed in the IMDb for this between the cast and the uncredited listings, plus a bird.
Yes.
So we have 136 credits to talk about. So that was a little overwhelming. And if you don't like that kind of thing, I'm sorry. Maybe this isn't the right place for you to be today, because strap in. This is going to be a long one. I'm not going to go into, as I was saying, they all have hundreds of credits. We're not going to go super deep into most of them, right? And it felt really weird. Here's someone who has 700 credits and pulling out one or two or three of them to mention. Felt really weird.
Right, most of which you've never heard of.
Most of which we've never heard of. I was trying to grab things I have heard of. Sometimes there was some classic stuff in there. One thing I found really interesting was seeing who went on to television and who stuck to the movies, because that was a big divide. Come right around this time is when the introduction of television was right around the corner. And a lot of serious actors refused to do television. So you either became a television person or you didn't. Another thing to note is that most of the people in this movie, other than the kids, were born in the 1800s.
Yes.
Which is wild.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild to just look at these numbers on these people's credits. So as far as like going through and doing the deep dive on the actors and the credits, this is so different than anything we usually do. Covering a black and white film. I don't think we've ever covered anything black and white before.
Not yet.
Now, I have no problem with black and white. I haven't watched a ton of old movies, though. Like, I had seen this, of course. Been decades since I've seen this. Watching it this time, I feel like I didn't remember much. It wasn't what I remembered it being. I don't think I probably understood most of this when I was a kid.
Yeah, I definitely did not. And when watching this, it's funny how little of it I actually remember.
Yeah.
And what I do remember of it, I mostly remember wrong.
Right.
Particularly the whole remembering your life thing, or like when you remove yourself from the equation, that last half hour of the film, where George is like being shown what life would be like without him around. I thought that was a bigger part of the movie than it actually is.
Yeah, like isn't that the point of the movie?
Right.
It's like this alternate reality, but we just kind of visit that for 10 minutes.
Right. I think, and this is of course a classic film. It's a great film. It deserves to be considered a classic, great film. But it is an old film. And at the same time, like we're talking about modern sensibilities versus old-timey sensibilities when the movie industry just first began. This day and age would be, the ratio would flip. Like we would maybe spend like a half hour before getting into the actual, alternate reality thing. Yeah. So, like this day and age, this would be done more concisely. Like you could tell a lot of the points that are made throughout most of the movie in a way quicker fashion.
Right.
But again, that comes down to modern cinema versus old time cinema.
And at the same time, it's a very long film.
Yes.
We are about 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Something like that, yeah.
And it's not even like credits. The credits are like 15 seconds at the end of the movie.
Right. Because,
again, only a handful of people are actually credited. It's like one page, here's the credits, and then that's that.
Right.
It's a long movie. It's such a long movie that there are abridged versions out there.
Yes.
Which I'm kind of curious to watch that to see what they actually decided to cut out and what they didn't. But we didn't do that. We watched the full cut. And as I was saying, watching it in black and white, I don't have a problem with black and white. I watched a ton of 1950s television growing up. But not a ton of movies. I was never all that much of a movie person as compared to television. And again, knowing who goes into who went into TV rather, there's definitely a few people in this cast that I know. Obviously, Donna Reed is the standout. Like I watched the Donna Reed show growing up. I saw lots and lots and lots and lots of her in my life. And there's a few other people that I'm like, I definitely recognize this person. I recognize that person. And of course, when I look at their credits, it's because they were in classic TV shows.
Right.
So yeah, this is going to be a little bit different of a discussion, I think, than we usually have. Right. And also, this might get really long simply because it is a long movie and we have 135 people to talk about.
Yes. The part of the fun for me is looking back at some of these credits. And yeah, there's a few times where I actually recognize some of the things that they were in. A few people actually were in some modern day stuff. But
a lot of it.
Not a lot. But what was fun for me was looking back at these credits and going all the way back to the 1900s and, taking note of those things and perhaps giving love to things that haven't been seen the light of day or been talked about in quite some time. So, yeah, that should be a fun time for us. Anything else to say before diving in?
I think we should get into it.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the movie, go scene by scene, and stop about every sentence to talk about a new actor that we meet.
Yes. All right, so the film begins. The page is flipping, revealing the credits of the film. We see some shots of a snowy town.
Bedford Falls.
Which
is a fictional town in upstate New York.
Okay. And an unseen man says he owes George Bailey everything. Various people are praying for the man. We end up in space.
I'm going to interrupt you already. Did you not credit these people now? You waited until we actually met them.
I waited until we actually met them.
Okay, I have them now, so some of them I might have to do a little weird flippy-floppy to find again.
Okay. So we end up in space where the angels, the senior angel greets another angel named Joseph. The senior angel is played by Morani Olsen, 112 credits for him, including an episode of I Love Lucy, Father of the Bride, from 1950, and Death Takes a Holiday.
He was also in The Three Musketeers, the original 1935 version, and The Long, Long Trailer, which is a film Lucy and Desi were in together.
Oh, okay.
And the senior angel, his actual character's name is Franklin.
Interesting, okay.
It's said in the dialogue, but he's not credited that way.
Okay. Joseph is played by Joseph Granby, 72 credits, including his new automobile from 1915, Written on the Wind, and 3 episodes of The Cisco Kid.
I chose for him The Loretta Young Show and The Great Romance.
Okay. So the senior angel asks if there's trouble. Joseph says they will need to send someone down. A lot of people asking for help for one George Bailey. And apparently, by the way, we conduct these angel meetings in space. I'm not sure what that's about.
And it's like we're seeing stars talking to each other is what we're seeing, which feels like a weird choice.
Yes. The senior angel says that it's a crucial night for him, and they should send someone down immediately. But it's the clockmaker's turn, who hasn't earned his wings yet. The senior angel says to send for him immediately. And we have Clarence here, played by Henry Travers, 52 credits. His last film was The Girl from the Jones Beach in 1949, First Reunion in Vienna, 1933, and The Invisible Man, 1933. Oh,
I also chose The Invisible Man.
Now, imagine that's not going to happen too often that we're going to pick the same credits.
Some of them I'm sure we will, because some things stand out.
Right.
I think that we both might be drawn to some of the same stuff. I'm curious this time.
Yes.
Because when we do modern credits, like, we'll often pick the same stuff, right?
Right, yeah.
But there's a lot more to pick from at this point.
Right.
I also picked for him The Yearling. Now, during this whole exchange, when we're calling for clearance, the line that just stood out to me is one of the cheesiest moments of this whole movie. They're talking about George, right? And they say, at 10:45 Earth time is when this is going to happen.
Yes.
And that just really stood out. Like, Earth time?
Right.
There's only one time?
Right. Yeah.
There's not 24 different time zones on Earth?
Right. Yeah.
But Earth time, 10:30 Earth time is when it's going to happen.
Right.
Which leads you to question, do they also, like,
have angel time?
Angel over other planets?
Right.
Or, like, what is up with the line Earth time?
Right, perhaps there's different types of times in these other planets. Not really sure how that works at all. But
that just stands out to me as being a weird sentence.
Yes. Clarence is given his new assignment. The man on Earth is discouraged, and he will soon be thinking about throwing away God's greatest gift, his life. Clarence asks if he accomplishes this mission, will he earn his wings? It's been 200 years, and people are beginning to talk. Angels, presumably, not really people. The senior angel says if he does a good job, he will earn his wings.
He has 1 hour.
1 hour?
There's 1 hour until this event, and he's told he's going to spend that hour learning about George. Of course, we're going to spend an hour and a half learning about George.
Right.
I think it would have made more sense if they kept the time the same.
Right.
Of how long he has and how long they're going to spend telling us before they meet each other.
Right. And apparently they can't time travel. Their time is running concurrently.
Their time's running concurrently, and they have 1 hour, but it's going to be an hour and a half of movie time before that hour's up. So.
All right. So the senior angel starts to tell him about George, and it helps him see Earth because he doesn't have his wings yet. And we see.
I also want to point out that Clarence is reading Tom Sawyer, which comes up many times throughout the story.
We see George Bailey as a kid going sledding. He's played by Robert J. Anderson. He's a producer, actor, and production management. The last film he worked on as a executive in charge of production was Demolition Man, which is one of the few modern-day films. That would be Sylvester Stallone, Wesley Snipes. He was also in The Grapes of Wrath in 1940, The Bishop's Wife, Samson and Delilah in 1949.
He also was the production manager on Passenger 57 and Time Tunnel, which goes way back.
Right.
One of the early time travel TV shows. Let's see, as far as acting, you said Grapes of Wrath. He was also in A Place in the Sun.
Okay.
And this is the year 1919 we're in for this little flashback of the young
George Bailey.
The young George Bailey and his friends.
Okay, so the senior angel tells Clarence something happens here that you'll have to remember later on. Marty, one of his friends, slides down to Cheers. Marty is played by Danny Mumpert. 59 credits, including Blondie, 1938. This was a whole series of films.
Several Blondie movies he was in.
Yep. The Sniper in 1952, and Bitter Creek in 1954. He was only 40 when he died.
He was also in Hopalong Cassidy.
George announces that his kid brother is a scaredy cat and is coming down. Harry is not scared, he says. He's played by George Noakes. 40 credits, including State of the Union, which is another Frank Capra movie. The Controversial Song of the South in 1946. You know, it's funny because I remember actually watching this film when it was really into theaters. I don't know how old I was, but I was pretty young. I was probably like maybe 5, 6 years old when that movie was in theaters. Nowadays, you wouldn't do that because it's a highly controversial film at this point. And Whiplash in 1948.
He also was in A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court.
That's a pretty famous one.
Which came out in 1949. And that's, of course, again, little Harry Bailey, the child version of the little brother. And what happens with Harry?
He ends up accidentally in the cold river. And George has to save his brother's life, but it costs him his hearing in his left ear.
Ooh. Also in this scene, we have a couple more kids.
Yes.
Do you got more of them, or
I don't.
Want me to take over for that? All right, we have little Sam here. Sam's another character who's going to be important. Little Sam's played by Ronnie Ralph.
Ronnie Ralph.
Ralph. He was in Unto Thyself Be True and Mr. 880.
Interesting.
No idea what any of those are, but that's what we got. We also had an unnamed young George's friend in this scene. And he was played by Michael Chapin, who was in Men Into Space and The Dakota Kid.
Sometime later, the kids spot Henry F. Potter, according to the senior angel, the meanest and richest man in the country. He's played by...
In the county.
County. Yeah, that's what I actually have, not country, but yeah.
Not the whole country.
Right.
We're pretty localized in this story. So this is a couple weeks later is what they said, because it took George a couple weeks before he could return to his part-time job.
Yeah, at 12 years old.
At 12 years old. This is the day he's going back to work.
Right.
Yeah, that poor 12-year-old had to take a couple weeks off work, man.
I know, really. But it's really tough being a 12-year-old. Potter is played by Lionel Barrymore, 221 credits. The first would be The White Caps in 1905. You Can't Take It With You, 1938. Our Mr. Sun in 1956.
I'm sorry, this is...
Lionel Barrymore.
Okay. So he's actually Drew Barrymore's great uncle.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very famous family, the whole line.
Drew Barrymore is much nicer than this guy.
He played Dr. Gillespie in a whole series of movies.
Okay.
And then he was in A Family Affair, 1937.
Gotcha. They head into what looks like the pharmacy where they encounter a smiling Little Mary played by Janine Gale. Only 15 credits, including Road to Rio in 1947, Singing in the Rain in 1952, and Forbid Them Not.
I also picked Singing in the Rain and Space Patrol.
This is his job, and George wishes it for $1 million. It doesn't work, and this is a reoccurring little gag.
Yeah, it's like I think it's a lighter that's on the end of the counter, and when you pull it, it sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. So he wishes for $1 million, and when it lights, I guess that means his wish is going to come true.
And it didn't in this case.
You know, he does this a few times throughout the movie. I feel like it should have turned into something more.
Right.
This should have been involved in something, and it really wasn't at the end.
Right. Mr. Grower declares him late.
Mr. Gower. Mr. Gower.
He's played by H.B. Warner, 138 credits, including English Nell in 1900, The Seventh Sin in 1917, and Stark Mad in 1929.
He was in The Ten Commandments.
Yes, you seem to like being in those kind of movies.
He was in Sunset Boulevard.
Okay.
And Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Right.
Which of course is another Jimmy Stewart movie. That
along with Frank Capra.
I think half of this cast was actually in that movie.
Yeah, there were a lot
I
of
was
people,
noting it for a while, and then I was like, I need to just pick other things because I can't keep saying this one over and over again.
What you're saying is that we need to cover that movie
as well. A lot of people in this movie came from that movie.
Yep. Little Violet comes in. She's played by Janine Ann Roos. This is her only credit, and she lived until 1921.
And I think this is
2021.
I think this might be the only person in the movie other than a baby we see for half a second later that it's their only credit.
Gotcha. Yeah. She says hello to George and almost disdainfully says it to Mary. She's there for shoelaces and confides in Mary that she likes George. Mary says she likes every boy, and Violet asks, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, we're really setting off these girls' characters.
Right.
And I think it's funny how they maintain these character traits throughout their lives.
Right. So, not going to say anything about, badly about Violet here, but she continues to like a lot of boys. Is that the takeaway I'm supposed to get?
I mean, that's how she's presented. Every time we see her, she's got multiple men hanging off her arms.
Yeah, and it starts when she's young. Okay.
But she never loses her little crush on George.
That's true. Yeah.
I find it funny. Like, he knows he's like, you're here for 2 cents worth of shoelaces.
Yeah.
Does she come in every day and buy 2 cents worth of shoelaces?
I mean, maybe she does.
How many shoelaces does this little girl need?
I don't know.
That he knows that's what she's here for.
That's some serial killer stuff right there. Does she have like an entire house full of shoelaces?
Is it just because she wants to come see him every day?
I'm assuming that's what it's about.
But maybe you would want to spend your 2 cents every day on something else besides shoelaces, if that's just your excuse to be here.
With that 2 cents, she can give her opinion.
She could. She could also probably get some ice cream of her own.
Right, yeah.
Or, I don't know, something else.
Yes.
Something.
Yep.
Besides the same shoelaces every single day, because you only need so many freaking shoelaces.
True.
Are they really bad quality that every single day her shoelaces break?
I mean, I hope not. I mean, they are only 2 cents, but this is a much
2 cents is a lot back then, I think.
Yeah. So Mary decides on chocolates after Violet leaves. Good girl. Without coconuts, because she doesn't like them. He bends down, and she whispers into his ear that he can't hear out of, and says, I will love you till the day she dies. Not till the day he dies, till she dies.
Well, that's better.
Yes.
Because, I mean, she'll always love him.
Right.
Even if he's not around.
Mm-hmm. That's some loyalty right there.
Yeah. This whole thing about... So he's kind of an asshole, this little kid. She's like, I don't like coconut. And he's like, what are you, stupid? How do you not like coconut?
Right.
And it's this whole allegory about how coconut represents tropical places in the world that he wants to see. And he shows her his National Geographic magazine.
Right. He basically had wanderlust even as a kid.
Yeah. He's like... But coconut comes from all these places that I'm going to visit someday. And how could you not like that? And this whole thing's clearly supposed to be representative of him wanting to go explore the world.
Right. And
her wanting to stay right here. She has no interest in coconut. No interest in traveling the world.
Right. So if you don't like coconuts, you don't want to travel.
Yeah. I mean... That's what it's supposed to represent, right? This conversation between the two of them. But it really just comes out that this kid is, like, really mean, and why does she like him so much?
I mean, that goes for a lot of girls versus boys. I mean, like, why do they like him sometimes? I don't know. But, yeah.
I think she just doesn't like coconut.
Probably.
I get what they were going for here.
Right.
And when you look at it compared to the whole movie, it's kind of like symbolic, but
I don't really like coconuts.
I don't like coconut either.
But I wouldn't mind traveling at the same time. Okay, so he whistles and his boss asks if he's paid to be a canary. George stops and then reads a telegram that basically says that Mr. Grauer's son has died from influenza.
Yes, his son, he just found out his son died.
And then George goes to check on him. He drops some pills, and George ends up picking them up. Mr. Grauer seems emotional and basically tells him to get going.
Again, I'm going to tell you there's no R in this man's name. It's Gower.
Gower? Right. Well, I have in my notes Grover, but I later on learned that that's not the case.
It's not Grover or Grauer. It's Gower.
It's whatever I say it is. Anyway,
that's usually how it happens around here.
Right. He runs out of the store to his family's bank. I'm not sure why he's leaving here.
Okay.
Right.
Let me explain to you what's happening in this scene. George realizes that the pills are poison.
Okay.
Because Gower screwed up. He filled the because this is like the pharmacy's making the pills. Okay. He's not just like pouring them out of one bottle into another like they do now.
Right.
He's making the pills, and instead of filling the capsules with the medicine for I forget what this boy had.
Influenza?
Diphtheria.
Diphtheria, okay.
The little boy who the medicine's for has diphtheria, and he says, George, run this prescription over. But instead of filling it with diphtheria medicine, whatever that is, he filled it with poison. And I found it hilarious that the bottle's just labeled poison. It's like rat poison sitting on the counter. Do you need to prescribe that to people? Because that's weird that that's just sitting on the counter in the pharmacy.
Yeah, that seems like an accident waiting to happen.
But George realized what it was, but didn't know how to tell Gower. Okay? So he doesn't know what to do. He knows these pills are poison. He's being told it's your job to go give these pills to the little boy who needs them. He sees a sign in the pharmacy. It's an ad for something that says, ask Dad. He'll know what to do.
Okay.
And that's when George gets the idea, I'm going to go ask my dad what to do. So he runs next door to the Bailey Brothers Building and Loan Association to ask his dad for advice about the poison that he's supposed to be delivering to a child.
Right. My advice would be to not do that. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think the answer is tell Gower what you just realized.
Right.
Like now.
Right.
Just do it.
Yeah, and also, I was under the impression for many, many years that what George's father was running was a bank, but that apparently is not the case.
Okay, it is a financial institution.
Yes.
I think the easiest way to explain it is that it's a mortgage broker.
Gotcha.
So they're lending money to people specifically to build homes, and then they're involved also with the actual building of the homes.
Okay.
So they're in the housing market.
Gotcha.
They work with the bank, but they are not a full-on bank.
Gotcha.
It's just for mortgages.
So Uncle Billy stops him from going in to see his father. He's played by Thomas Mitchell, 115 credits, including Six Cylinder Love in 1923, Man of the People in 1937, and most famously, Gone with the Wind in 1939.
He also was in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington and Stagecoach.
Gotcha. Cousin Tilly informs Billy of a phone call. She's played by Mary Treen, 224 credits for her, including an episode of The Love Boat, Dukes of Hazzard, and Surprise in 1930.
She also had one-off appearances on Here's Lucy, The Brady Bunch, many other such TV appearances, including 3 episodes of The Donna Reed Show.
Okay. Billy takes the phone call, and George ends up sneaking into the office. His dad is having a meeting with Mr. Potter. He's asking for 30 days more to pay back the $30,000 that is owed. In this scene is Potter's bodyguard, played by Frank Hagney, 452 credits as an actor, a lot of it uncredited, including 3 episodes of Perry Mason, The Battler in 1919, and Ride 'em Cowboy 1932 with John Wayne.
Also, Gunfight at the OK Corral.
His dad is played by Samuel S. Hines, born 1875, died in 1948. 219 credits, including The Amateur Gentleman in 1926, The Bribe 1949, and The Boy with Green Hair in 1948.
Which, of course, Dean Stockwell
was
the boy with green hair.
Right, yeah.
We gotta take... I don't think we have any actual Quantum Leap connections in this movie.
That's as close as we're going to get.
But there's a couple tangential things to mention like that.
Gotcha.
He also was in... Do you remember how I said... who's this guy? Potter.
Potter, yes. Lionel Barrymore?
Lionel Barrymore. Do you remember how I said he was in a series of movies as Dr. Gillespie?
Yes.
In the same series of movies, Samuel Hines appeared as Dr. Kildare.
He sounds like a pleasant guy.
So they worked together in a whole series of movies.
Okay.
As these 2 doctors.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So they were quite familiar with each other.
Right. And also interesting to note about Samuel Hines is he was a Hollywood lawyer up until 1929 when the stock market crashed, and that's when he got into acting himself.
Oh, okay.
Also in this scene, do you have the other cousin?
No, I don't think I do.
Cousin Eustace?
Yes, I never got him.
Okay, he's played by Charles Williams. He was in 2 episodes of Adventures of Superman and 2 episodes of Cisco Kid. And I thought I thought originally that Tilly and Eustace were Billy's kids, but they're not, because they also call him Uncle Billy. Billy and Peter must have had a third brother involved in the Bailey Brothers building and loan.
Yes,
who's already passed at this point.
So Potter calls him a failure, and then George gets involved with the argument, and then ends up getting kicked out of his dad's office.
And they're arguing about the credit worthiness of the people that Bailey decides to loan money to, which is an argument that continues between Potter and everybody involved at the building and loan throughout the film.
So he goes back to work, where Mr. Gower starts smacking him around. Mary is still there, by the way, just sitting there for no reason at all.
She's waiting for him. She's in love with him.
Aw, but she doesn't have a credible reason to be there.
She's eating her ice cream.
For that long? Because
I mean, yeah.
So George tells him that he put poison in the capsules by accident, and that somehow killed somebody, or he was about to kill that person, and he decided.
Right. So if this medicine went to the little boy, he'd die because it's poison.
Right.
And Gower is being, in what year? This is like, what, 1919? 1919. We're getting, so this is a 1940s view of a period even earlier than that.
Yes.
Where it's perfectly normal for this 12-year-old who's working to just be literally physically abused by his boss. Gower is slapping him around. He's crying that his bad ear hurts because he's slapping him in the ear.
Yes.
It's really a moment in this movie.
Yes.
And
we're supposed to continue to like this character, by the way, because he keeps popping up as we go along.
And then when George tells him, like, the reason he didn't deliver the prescription, that, hey, it's poison, you screwed up. Of course, he's thankful to George for not only saving the little boy, saving him, saving his whole reputation, his career. And we'll find out later, like, things would have went really south for him if he had killed a little kid.
Yes, it tends to do that when you kill kids.
You'd think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gower ends up crying and hugging George. And then we cut a significant amount of time into the future. I was really confused as to how far.
It's 1928.
Right.
And yes, this is probably the most jarring time cut. We spend the whole movie jumping through time, but we jump all the way to our adult actors.
Right.
Right? And then we're told it's a high school graduation, but it takes like a minute to figure out it's not George's high school graduation. It's Harry's. George graduated 4 years ago.
Oh, okay. I thought he had graduated already.
It's complicated, trying to follow this.
So he's not 18 at this point. He's more like 22.
George is 21 right now.
Okay. So either way, I don't buy it because Jimmy Stewart does not look like he's 21 years old here. And of course he's not, because he's played by a person who's 38 years old at this point. I actually checked the age because I was so confused by what was actually going on. And actually, this part here didn't confuse me when Mr. Gower showed up. And I'm like, wait, how is this dude still alive? Like, he was pretty old.
Yeah, he's still around, in the 40s when the present day is taking place.
Yes.
So I feel like in his case, he was meant to be a lot younger in the flashbacks, but they didn't de-age him at all.
Yep.
Is what we have to assume with him. That was much earlier in his career than we assumed it was, just looking at him.
Right. 21-year-old George here is played by Jimmy Stewart. 100 credits for him, including The Big Sleep in 1978, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and Vertigo. And that was an Alfred Hitchcock film.
Yes, a lot of people in this movie were in Vertigo also.
His final role was in the 1991 animated film An American Tail, 50 Goes West.
I have that one listed as
okay.
well.
Yeah.
But it was his final credit. Let's see, one more Hitchcock film, which is Rear Window.
Okay, he was also in that. Yep. All right. The senior angel pauses the recording to make sure Clarence knows who he's looking at. He's looking at a suitcase because he's planning on traveling by boat. And this is a guy, Joe, played by Ray Walker. 278 credits, including 2 episodes of Mr. Ed, an episode of Dennis the Menace, and The Devil's Mate in 1933.
He also had appearances in Lassie, The Addams Family, and a film called Somebody Up There Likes Me.
Oh, okay.
Which, 100%, is the influence of the Quantum Leap title, somebody up there likes Ben.
Oh,
Because it's
okay.
about boxing.
Okay. Now we know we solved that mystery.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, there's definitely some tangential Quantum Leap things that I picked up doing this. And a lot of it was similar things where I'm understanding title references I didn't before because I'm seeing the 1920s or 30s or 40s influences of them that I've never actually heard of.
We're not actually just covering a movie right now. We're doing film history and
are.
television history at the same time.
This is the history of entertainment.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's happening here is we are at the luggage shop. George is planning on going to this trip. So it's 1928. His brother is graduating from high school, which is what we're about to learn. But he didn't go... Okay, George himself didn't go to college when he graduated.
Gotcha.
I think we could have used another scene helping us set this timeline. Because it is very confusing. And I definitely didn't even understand it the first time I watched it this month prepping for this.
Okay.
It wasn't until I'm trying to take these notes that I even understood the timeline of what the heck's going on here.
Right.
So he... After graduating high school 4 years ago, in 1924, went to work with his dad and his Uncle Billy at the building and loan, and he's been saving up his money to go to college.
Gotcha.
All his friends went to college. They just graduated college this year. His brother, who's 4 years younger than him, just graduated high school.
Right.
And now he's about to go to college in the fall because he spent 4 years working and saving up money to put himself to school.
Gotcha.
So he's 4 years behind the ball. So he's going on this boat, spending the summer traveling the world, and then in the fall starting college.
Okay.
As a 4 year later student. That's his plan.
Gotcha. He's buying a suitcase which has his name on it, and it's a present from his old boss, Mr. Gower.
Yeah, so he's trying to buy the suitcase, and Joe tells him, hey, actually, Gower already bought it for you. It's got your name on it. Everybody's excited for you to get the heck out of here and go see the world.
Right. He visits his old boss at the shop and wishes for $1 million again. This still does not work. And then walks down the street where he's heckled by Cousin Billy and Tilly.
Uncle Billy.
Uncle Billy.
Cousins Tilly and Eustace.
Right. He talks to the two cops, Bert and Ernie.
Okay, Bert and Ernie are not two cops. Gotta correct you.
Okay.
Did we watch the same movie?
Maybe.
I think there's a reason you got through your notes in a third of the amount of time I did.
Gotcha.
It took me a lot longer.
Okay.
Okay, so Bert is a cop.
Bert is a cop.
Ernie's the cab driver.
Okay. See, I thought it was kind of weird that Ernie was also driving a cab at the same time, but...
Bert's a cop. Ernie's a cab driver. They're two of his best friends.
Mm-hmm.
They appear throughout this movie. And no,
Yes.
Jim Henson did not name Bert and Ernie Muppets after these two characters, but it sure as heck feels like that because throughout the whole movie, every time we see Bert, Ernie's also there.
Yes, according to the X-ray on Prime, the resemblance to Sesame Street is purely a coincidence. Bert is played by Ward Bond, 278 credits, including the Maltese Falcon, Rio Bravo, and Noah's Ark in 1928.
He also was in 133 episodes of Wagon Train and China Doll.
Ernie is played by Frank Balin, 225 credits, including Road Gang, 1936, Funny Girl in 1968, and The Lost Weekend in 1945.
He had appearances in the Beverly Hillbillies and Petticoat Junction, and he was in The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis. He played the father, Herbert T. Gillis, in 118 episodes of that show.
Okay.
And I definitely recognized him from that. Again, I'm recognizing the TV people.
He's asking them for a ride in style, and at this point, I'm thinking he's asking for a ride in a cop car, and I don't understand quite why, but apparently I'm mistaken there. So we see an older Violet wearing a dress that impresses George, played by Gloria Graham. She was born on November 28th. I didn't take note of the year, but that's pretty recent, as in she just had a birthday, or she would have if she were not, in fact, already dead. But yes, so we would be celebrating her birthday as a couple of days ago when we were recording this, not when this drops. I'm not even sure when this is going to drop exactly.
Soon.
Yes.
This will be our first.
Right.
Our first winter, December movie.
Gotcha.
Okay, yes, Violet.
She also died in 1981 in October, which means I was about 7 years old when she died. Yes, anyway.
Did take any credits for her, or are we just talking about her
yes.
death?
Yeah, she has 64 credits, including Blonde Fever, 1944, In a Lonely Place, 1950, with Humphrey Bogart, and The Big Heat in 1953.
I also picked The Big Heat. She was in The Greatest Show on Earth and
Yes.
Oklahoma.
Gotcha. Yeah, I noticed that credit. I figured you would grab it, so I didn't. So she says she only wears the dress when she doesn't care what she looks like. As she walks away, she nearly causes a car accident.
Yeah, so Violet grew up to be exactly who she told us she was as a kid.
Yeah.
Everybody's eyes are on her, and she just eats it up. She's the town flirt, basically.
Yep. Cut to George Bailey's parents. Ma Bailey is played by Blue Bondi, 86 credits, including an episode of The Jimmy Stewart Show, Reign in 1932, and was also in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
She was in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and in fact, she played Jimmy Stewart's mother in 5 different films.
That's interesting.
Counting
Okay.
this one and that one and 3
Gotcha.
others. She also was in episodes of Alfred Hitchcock Presents.
Okay. So, George and Harry, who were apparently creating a ruckus upstairs, come down. Harry is now played by Todd Kearns, 41 credits, including The Canine Mutiny in 1954. There's actually a couple of versions of that movie. An episode of Dragnet, and The Lone Ranger.
He was also in The Red Badge of Courage and Invaders from Mars.
Additionally, in the scene is Annie, played by Lillian Randolph, 113 credits, including 2 episodes of Roots, The Three Orphans Kittens in 1935, and Kiss the Boys Goodbye in 1941.
She was in several Tom and Jerry cartoons doing voices, and she was in a whole franchise of films called Gildersleeve.
Okay.
So what I'm getting from looking at a bunch of these people's credits is, before we had TV, people were still doing series, but they just were movies.
Gotcha.
They would do like a movie every couple months, and it's kind of the same thing as television, right?
Right.
Where they have whole series going on of these movies, but that didn't exist yet, so they were just movies.
Right. So this is George's last dinner here, celebrating not his graduation, because that's Harry's graduation.
Harry's graduation, and George is off to explore the world.
Going on his little trip.
Yeah, they did such a bad job of explaining this.
Right. His dad describes getting into it with Mr. Potter, who he describes as a sick in his soul, who hates everyone, and who has what he can't have, which is what exactly? He's the richest person here, so why is there anything that this man cannot have?
Well, the one thing Potter doesn't have that he wants throughout this film is control of the building and loan.
All right. So basically, he hates George and his family.
Correct.
Harry takes off with some food and asks George if he is coming.
Yeah,
soon.
Harry's going to set up the school dance. They're having a graduation dance. He's on the committee. He's trying to borrow all his mom's good china for the school dance, which is weird.
Right.
And, he wants George to come to the party. And George is kind of like, with all those kids?
Right. So the plan here is now for Harry to flip positions with George. Harry is now going to run the bank for 4 years, is the plan. While
Right,
George
so
goes
he
off.
can make money to go to
Right.
college because the parents are poor and can't afford to send their sons to school. That's kind of the whole point. Is the building and loan is not a successful business. It's about community enrichment, not about the owners getting rich.
Right. Sounds like George wants to be an architect. He has no plans to return and run the bank or the savings and loan. That's not what George's dream is. He wants to do something big and something important. His dad thinks that in his own way, he is doing something important. What he wants for his son is for him to get an education and get out. Because the only thing here to do in this town is basically to crawl to Mr. Potter. George decides to go to Harry's party anyway. We meet Sam Wainwright, played by Frank Albertson, 198 credits, including an episode of The Third Man, which is interesting. I never realized that was also a TV show. That was actually a film, The Third Man, which is pretty famous in its own right, and which I actually saw when I was in film class. He was also in Psycho and an episode of Leave It to Beaver.
Psycho, that one got me.
Yes.
He also was in Bye Bye Birdie, and he was in 3 episodes of Alfred Hitchcock Presents.
Yes. And he's also greeted by the high school principal, Mr. Partridge, played by I didn't even know his name.
Harry Holman.
Okay.
plays Mr. Partridge.
137 credits for him. This is actually his second to last. He was also in The Hunchback of Notre Dame in 1923, Meet John Doe in 1941, and Oliver Twist in 1933.
The only one I have that you didn't grab was The Dark Horse.
We soon see Violet and George's friend Marty, now played by Harry Landon. 28 credits for him, including Bill and Ted's Bogus Adventure in 1991, his last credit.
I'm sorry, who are we on?
Harry Landon.
What character?
Marty.
Got it. Marty is Mary's brother, by the way.
Oh, I did not realize that.
Yes.
Okay. And Oh, Susanna in 1951, and The Black Widow in 1947.
Let's see, you mentioned Bill and Ted. He was in The Clay Pigeon.
He wants George to dance with Mary.
He wants her to go. He's like, you remember my kid sister, Mary.
Right.
So he's also, remember, Marty graduated with George.
Yes.
So he's 4 years older. Sam's 4 years older. They're all at this high school party, which is really weird.
Right.
But he's like, you remember my kid sister? Like, she's had a crush on him his whole life. He's like, can you go have a dance with her? She'd like really appreciate seeing you.
And they end up laying eyes on each other, and she is now played by Donna Reed. 53 credits, including From Here to Till Eternity, The Donna Reed Show, which ran for 256 episodes.
275 is what I have.
Oh, okay. And 24 episodes of Dallas.
Exact same credits.
Nice.
We did it once.
Okay.
Where we picked the exact same list. Donna Reed.
Yes. They start to dance as George pulls her away from her date, who isn't happy about it. And the date is played by Carl Alfalfa Switzler. I almost did not make note of this guy. I was going to ignore him. But I couldn't, as it turns out.
I don't think that he's actually her date. They're just both graduating. He was next on her dance card, though.
Gotcha.
So this is back when dance cards are a real thing. You might hear that term thrown around nowadays and not know what it means. Literally, when you went to dances, girls had a piece of paper and guys had to write their names next to what song they wanted to dance with them for. Oh. You had to reserve a spot on their dance card.
Okay, I did not realize that. This was actually Alfalfa in The Little Rascals and many different projects of this, basically
right. It was the Our Gang shorts, Little Rascals, and then it was a series of movies called Gas House Kids, which I've never heard that phrase, but it's all the same kids.
In total, he had 132 credits, including The Ten Commandments.
He also was in White Christmas.
Oh, okay.
Another classic.
Yep. She says he looked at her like he didn't know her. He says he doesn't.
He's saying she's not the same little girl.
Okay.
He's noticing her, basically, is what he's saying.
Right.
Like, you're not that little girl that I never paid any attention to. Who are you?
Right. Then some kind of dance competition starts, which, of course, George does with Mary. A person approaches Carl and suggests pushing a button to open a swimming pool that calls George to fall into it. He doesn't miss a beat as the pool starts opening. He keeps dancing with Mary, and they end up falling into the water, and then everyone else starts jumping in. This is a pretty famous moment that I actually did remember from this film, including Carl, who caused it to happen in the first place.
Freddie Othello is the character's name.
Right, okay.
And the other guy who convinced him to do this little prank, his name is Mickey. He's played by Bobby Scott. His only other credit was The Blonde Bandit.
Gotcha.
And so this is an actual pool. It's an actual high school in Beverly Hills. This pool with the retractable gym floor, which is super weird and super cool. It was in a bunch of other films, and I didn't take notes of which ones, but I did read that, this same scene has happened in a lot of movies, basically.
Where they open up the pool and everyone falls
all
in?
Based on this, because this happened first. But it's a real school, and they, famously film a lot of movies there. Before we move on, I have a whole list of other people that appeared in this scene.
Okay.
And I'm going to read them. And I just pulled 1 or 2 credits for these people. All right. So, graduation dance guest in Helen Dixon. She was in Phantom of the Rue Morgue and an episode of I Love Lucy. Another dance guest was Beulah Christian. By the way, there's 4 people in this film named Beulah.
Interesting.
If that tells you anything about how many people are in this film and when it took place. 4 Beulahs.
I guess that was a pretty common name back then.
Doesn't feel like it should be. But she was in Some Like It Hot and Around the World in 80 Days. We had another dance guest in Max Linder. He was in The House Across the Street and It Had to Be You. George Noisome was a school dancer, and he was in Citizen Kane, and he was a monkey in The Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
How cool is that?
That's pretty cool. We now have a justification for...
He was a dancer in this scene.
Gotcha. We have a justification for covering The Wizard of Oz.
Then we have Student in Gym, played by Priscilla Montgomery. She was also in Wizard of Oz. She was a munchkin child in The Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
And she was also a dancer in the Our Gang shorts.
Cool. So she was also, there's two little rascals represented here.
Right. Then the band leader of the high school dance was played by Marion Raymond Davis. This is her only credit. So I was wrong. There's somebody else whose only credit it is. There was a high school teacher at the poolside played by Lou Davis, who was in Murder in Times Square. We have a faculty member played by Victor Travis, who was in A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court and Joan of Arc.
Oh, okay.
And that wraps up the dance scene. Whew.
So, after George and Mary leave the dance, whatever it is they're doing now, they sing a song together and exchange awkward banter and flirt.
So he's walking her home. And they've changed their clothes because their clothes got all wet. So they changed into whatever they found in the school locker room. He's wearing a football uniform and she's wearing a bathrobe. She's wearing a bathrobe with nothing under it because her dress is wet.
Okay.
Which is important.
Right, yes.
Where we're going with this scene.
Yep.
And they're singing Buffalo Gals.
Gotcha. George talks passionately about leaving this town and building things. They happen upon this building, which George says that he wouldn't even live in there.
This is the Granville house, a
Gotcha.
dilapidated old house that nobody lives in.
He thinks ghosts shouldn't even live here. He ends up throwing a stone at the building and basically makes a wish about
Yeah,
doing all
apparently
those
that's
things.
local superstition. If you throw a stone and break a window, you get a wish. So he likes to do this, right?
Right.
There's the lighter at the drugstore. We've got throwing rocks at the window here. He likes making wishes.
And
He's
none of
just
them ever come
waiting
true.
for wishes to come true. She says she loves this house and wants to live in it someday. I wonder if that's going to come back.
I wonder. Mary throws a rock, but won't reveal what she wished for.
Yeah, but it's pretty obvious what she's wishing for.
Uh-huh.
She doesn't want him to go. He wants to see the world, and her wish is to be right here with him.
As she continues singing, a man on the porch is listening. He's played by Dick Elliott. 386 credits, including A Christmas in Connecticut. I had a few Christmases in Connecticut. In fact, probably all of them. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and he was also in an episode of that aforementioned The Third Man series.
He was in 11 episodes of The Andy Griffith Show and 2 episodes of I Love Lucy. And we had one of the more famous lines from this movie also in this scene, where he's telling her that if she wants the moon, he'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down for her. They had a very little romantic stroll.
Aw, she cheerfully says that she will take that moon, and she asks, then what? He says he can swallow it and blah, blah, blah. I don't even know what he's talking about here.
Something about moonbeams coming out of her fingertips.
Right.
Yeah.
The man on the porch finally says, stop talking and just kiss her. He becomes exasperated, saying, youth is wasted on the wrong people, specifically the young. And yes, he's absolutely correct about that. Mary decides to run for it, but whoops, Mary's robe stays with George.
Yeah, so he's like, you want to see kissing? I'll show you kissing. And she's like, nope. So she runs. He's stepping on the
tail.
the tie
Right.
of the robe. And yeah, she loses the robe. So she is now naked.
Yes, she's
And
not wearing any clothes.
Hiding in a bush.
Right. And so yeah, initially he's going to give it back to her, but then thinks better of it. She threatens to tell his mother on him, to call the cops, and he thinks the cops are going to take his side. I mean, if it's Bert, then definitely. But he basically decides to make a deal, but then somebody drives up.
Uncle Billy.
Uncle Billy drives up with bad news. His dad has had a stroke.
Yeah, so he's just goading her on. He's having way too much fun with this situation.
Yeah.
But all the flirting is cut short because he is pulled away to deal with his father, and we have another time jump.
Right. The stroke apparently resulted in his father's death. George gave up his trip to straighten out his dad's affairs, which we hear about in a meeting. The chairman here is played by Harry Cheshire.
Yeah, this is Dr. Campbell. He's the...
I took no credits for him whatsoever.
So this is the board of directors for the building and loan. So the family doesn't own it outright. They have a whole board of directors, and all of their customers own stock in the business. So whenever there's stocks involved, you have a board of directors, and these are the people that make the decisions about the business, right? And Potter's on the board, by the way. Of course he is.
Yes.
And Mr. Campbell here is running the show. Harry Cheshire, he was in an episode of Alfred Hitchcock Presents and an episode of The Donna Reed Show.
Okay. Potter thinks that the savings and loan should be dissolved. Potter craps all over Peter's legacy. George argues in favor of his dad's character. Potter yawns during this, and he argues for the beer for the bank and then leaves. He argues for the continuation of the bank or the savings and loan, and then leaves the scene. George is on his way to school, but wants to know what's going on back in the boardroom. The chairman comes out and says they voted Potter down, but only on one condition: that George take his father's spot. George says he's leaving, but if he does so, they will vote with Potter, and this stops George dead in his tracks, and he decides to stay.
Yeah, because his whole family is depending on this, as well as like the whole town.
Right.
So I'm going to talk about a few things that happened during all that.
Okay.
One is they were arguing about, again, the creditworthiness of the customers, right? Potter's like, you guys just give money to anybody who wants it because they're your friends. And we find out one of these friends was Ernie, the cab driver.
Gotcha.
And this is when George steps up and is like, well, I handled that one, not my father. That's important later. This is where we learn that Ernie has a Bailey home. Mm-hmm. And it's because George helped him get that loan. Because without him, Potter was going to deny his loan, and he was going to live in a shack.
That's sad.
Which, comes up later.
Yep.
Let's see. Also, during all of this, we have 5 uncredited board members. I'm going to read you them. We have Edward Clark, who was in 4 episodes of The Cisco Kid. Art Howard, who was in Vertigo in an episode of I Love Lucy. Bert Howard, who was in The Fountainhead. Milton Kibbe, who was in The Mad Doctor of Market Street. And Larry Wheat, who was in The Man Who Saw Tomorrow.
Ooh.
And then we have my favorite credit of the whole movie.
Okay. Oh, the crow, right?
The crow in bank gets a credit. There's a crow that lives in the savings and the building and loan. Credited as Crow in Bank. Played by Jimmy the Crow, who actually isn't a crow, he's a raven. Jimmy the Crow has 27 credits on Wikipedia.
That's only credited credits.
Credited credits. Well, this is uncredited.
Okay.
Uncredited listings and credits.
Right.
Listings on IMDb, 27 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Including some pretty impressive titles, okay? This bird is in The Secret Garden, Arsenic and Old Lace, Son of Dracula, and The Wizard of Oz.
Wow. Well, that tears it. We have to cover that movie just for Jimmy the Crow. He
also has a Wikipedia page that explains his whole, where his handler found him. This bird had a 30-year film career. Wikipedia actually claims that he appeared in over 1,000 films.
Wow.
But this IMDb page only lists 27.
Right. Well, perhaps he didn't, make a sound in any of those movies. So.
Well, yeah, I mean... What gets listed as what gets listed as an uncredited listing in the first place? I mean, how many animals are even on IMDb? There's a rule you're not allowed to list animals. Some animals make it through. Jimmy the Crow apparently special enough that, those 27 were approved, but maybe not all 1,000 of them.
I'm vaguely curious. Is the bird still alive?
No, this is 80 years ago, Dave.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know how long ravens live for, so...
It said he was in over 1,000 films from the 20s through the 50s.
Gotcha.
Before he retired.
Before he croaked.
And presumably died.
Okay, wow. He was quite an in-demand bird.
Quite an in-demand bird. And this bird's just in like every scene that takes place at the building in Lone. There's
Right.
there's this bird there. We're gonna learn, and it's never like addressed. We never mention the bird, talk about the bird. The bird doesn't play a part in the story. It's just always there, flying around, mind you, not in a cage or anything. It's just part of the fixture of this place. We're gonna learn later when we go to Billy's house that he's got some other unusual pets as well. So the bird is Billy's pet, presumably.
Gotcha.
But it just lives here, chilling in the building in Lone.
Gotcha. No specific reason at all. Okay, so we cut back to space. The senior angel tells Clarence that not only did George go, but he gave his school money to Harry. Harry became a football star. George waited 4 years for Harry to return after college. And then we cut to that moment. Off the train, we learned that he got married to Ruth, played by Virginia Patton. 15 credits, including The Lucky Stuff in 1948, Roaring Guns in 1944, and The Burning Cross in 1947.
Nobody Lives Forever.
Nope. Oh, okay.
That's the name of something else she was in.
Okay, I thought it was just general statements.
But it is true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Including crows or ravens. They don't live forever either.
So we meet Ruth, and here's the kicker.
Yeah, she ends up saying offhand that her dad offered Harry a job, which is not good news to George.
Yeah, and Harry tries telling George, like, listen, she talked out of turn. I haven't accepted the job yet. But George goes and talks to Ruth, finds out it's actually a really good job. It's at a glass factory in Buffalo, which is where her family's from. And again, George decides to sacrifice his own plans for his brother.
Yeah.
He already gave all his college money to his brother, gave up his dreams of, traveling the world and becoming an architect. At this point, he's not looking to go to school anymore. He graduated high school 8 years ago, but he is looking to just get the heck out of this town.
Right.
And now he can't even do that.
Right. It's kind of funny because they don't always present George as a totally agreeable person. They don't make him a saint. But at every single turn that he has a chance to do the wrong thing or do the right thing, the moral thing, he chooses to do the moral thing.
He spends his entire life making sacrifices in the names of people he cares about.
If he made different choices, and you could hardly blame the man for making these choices, because, you wouldn't blame him if he decided to not stay and keep the bank open or the savings and loan. You wouldn't, you couldn't blame him for that, but nevertheless, that's what he chooses to do.
Right.
At every turn.
Every turn, and not even just that, but like he always puts everyone else's needs above his own.
Mm-hmm.
His family, his friends, his customers, puts everything above himself. Which is funny because by the time we get to, the actual like point of the movie, the whole alternate reality stuff,
yeah,
he doesn't realize. He has no idea how important he is to anybody else. He has no idea how helpful he's been.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's so helpful, it's so in character to him that he doesn't even realize that's what he does over and over and over again.
So we cut to the Bailey house where there's a commotion outside.
They're celebrating Harry's homecoming and the marriage.
George ends up eating a drunk Uncle Billy who sings on his way home. He ends up...
and Billy crashes into something. We hear it off camera.
Right.
I don't know if you read this fact. There was a fun little fact on X-Ray. And by the way, shout out to Amazon Prime X-Ray. That's where this movie's available. One of the places the movie's available right now is on Amazon Prime. And without the X-Ray feature, we would not have been able to do this.
No, absolutely.
Because it helped us figure out who the heck these 135 people are.
Right.
So a fun fact that it told us, there was a story in X-Ray about when Billy's leaving and we hear this crash off camera and Billy's like, hey, I'm okay. That wasn't scripted. That wasn't intentional. That wasn't part of the movie.
Oh, that's funny.
A crew member dropped a prop of trays at that moment. When Mitchell went off screen, he improvised that line because it was happening. And then they reshot it. But they ended up using this cut because they said it was just perfect, the timing of what the way that worked out. And the stagehand that dropped the tray ended up getting a $10 bonus for providing sounds for the movie.
What? Wow. Where do I sign up for screwing up and getting paid for it? Okay.
I thought that was a fun story.
I guess I could be a weatherman because, but yeah, that is a pretty funny story. So George, he's smoking a cigarette outside of the party. He's looking at brochures of places he will not ever be going to.
He hears the train that he can't get on.
Right. He's joined by his mother and asks if she likes Ruth. And she asks if he likes Ruth, and he says that he does. She says he'll keep Harry on his toes. George quietly says with a hint of resentment that she'll also be keeping him out of Bedford Falls. His mother brings up Marty returning from school.
Mary,
that's what I meant.
This is about me. Marty's Mary's brother, but we never hear about him again, by the way. That was it for Marty. Like, he's in a couple of these future scenes.
Right.
And I know that because of the X-ray, but he has no further story. No plot for Marty.
Gotcha. That's sad. So, this is very not subtle on his mother's
She's
part.
like, did you know Mary's home from school, too? She got here on Tuesday.
She thinks Mary might be the one to help him find answers. She thinks there isn't one good reason not to call her. But he says, well, what about Sam Wainwright? Basically, she thinks that, Sam might have a thing for Mary. But Mary isn't crazy about him. He gets ready to leave. He asks to be pointed in the right direction. His mom points him in one direction.
Yeah, they're doing the exact same bit he did with Billy, except it's going the other way.
Presumably, this direction would be towards Mary.
Towards Mary, right. But
he ends up going in the opposite direction.
Yes, he's like, not setting me up.
Right. Violet spots George out and about, and he's basically checking women out at this point. And, if he wants some companionship, you figure he might actually go to Mary, but he's avoiding her.
He's avoiding her because he does like her.
He does like her, and he doesn't want to be trapped here.
Right. The last thing he wants is to fall in love and get married.
Right.
He wants to travel the world.
He's headed to the library. She asks if he ever gets tired of reading about things.
Well, stop you for just a second before we we have their conversation. Violet's actually with two men right now.
Right.
One is credited as Violet's boyfriend, and the other one is Vi's suitor. So she's with two dudes. Again, every time we see her, she's just surrounded by men. And she's like, hang on, fellas, I think I got a date. And they're like, well, we're going to wait for you right here.
Wow, so these guys are simps before that was even a term.
So Violet's boyfriend is played by Frank Fenton. He was in 6 episodes of Annie Oakley, 7 episodes of The Lone Ranger, and Violet's suitor is played by Jack Bailey. He was in 2 episodes of Gunsmoke and an episode of Green Acres.
So he suggests a walk through the park barefoot and a whole romantic thing.
Yeah, so she's kind of been chasing him,
yeah,
right? But she's also chasing everybody, but she's had her eyes on George. And he's never paid much mind to Violet, but right now he's like, you know what? Sure, he's about to give her a chance. He's like, let's go have this amazing romantic night together. We're going to walk barefoot through the grass, and we're going to hike to the falls, and we're going to go swimming, and we're going to climb Mount Bedford and watch the sunrise. And she is horrifically offended by every word of this.
Yeah, this only confuses her and pisses her off. A bunch of guys laugh at him as he flips out, and he says, never mind, and takes off. She blew her chance.
Yes. Because she didn't want to get her feet wet.
George, outside of Mary's house, he's carrying a stick, hits a mailbox. Mary notices him from a window. George says he was just passing by. She asks him if he made up his mind yet. And he asks, about what? Coming in, she replies. Apparently, his mother called her to tell her that he was coming, which is interesting because he was wandering in totally the different direction than Mary's house when last she saw.
Yeah, and he's like, I didn't tell anybody I was coming here.
Right.
I'm just walking by. But Mom knew.
Right.
She knew.
She runs downstairs and opens the door, passing her mother, who we don't see but we hear. We will eventually see her. Mrs. Hatch is played by Sarah Edwards, 190 credits, including Glorifying the American Girl in 1929, The Devil's Thumbs, A Ride in 1947, and Shop Around the Corner in 1940, also with Jimmy Stewart.
She was in The Glass Menagerie and The Fuller Brush Girl.
You know the reason I did not?
Because you don't know how to say menagerie?
Exactly. So he comes in seemingly reluctantly.
And before she lets him in, she does some setup work. She has a drawing of him lassoing the moon for her. So she sets that up somewhere where she makes sure he's going to see it. And then she puts the Buffalo Gals record on. She's trying to recreate the romance they had that little night.
Aww.
You know, that his dad died.
Right. And meanwhile, he's behaving like a butthole. He feels the need to point out that he didn't tell anyone that he was coming here. He asks why she isn't in New York, and she says she got home
She was homesick.
She was homesick.
So she came home instead of going to New York. He's basically like, Sam's in New York. Why aren't you in New York? Just go.
Yeah. And this is a concept he seems baffled by. She asks him to sit down, and he grudgingly says for a minute and acts like he doesn't want to be here.
He's being the same little asshole he was when he was 12.
Right, yeah. Yep.
And telling her she's an idiot for not liking coconut.
Right, exactly. Her mother calls down the stairs and asks who's with her. She does not react well to the answer being George Bailey. She seems to prefer her with Sam. George and her get into a fight. He ends up leaving. Sam calls.
She breaks the record. She's like, screw you.
Right. And she basically like does the hee-haw thing that everyone...
Yeah, so Sam's hee-haw is Sam's catchphrase.
Gotcha. I don't quite understand it, but whatever.
It helps you track who the heck this character is throughout the movie.
Gotcha. George comes...
So she's pretending for George's sake that she's into Sam.
Right.
But she's not.
Right. George comes back for his hat. She ends up putting him on the phone with Sam. He asks George if he's trying to steal his girl, seemingly jokingly. Sam wants them to build a factory outside of Rochester.
I want to point this out because it's important to understand Sam was never serious about Mary either.
Right.
Because during this call, he literally has a woman hanging on his arms and kissing him.
Yes.
While he's talking to his girl, Mary.
Right.
And, everybody in Bedford Falls thinks that he is head over heels for Mary, but he's really not serious about her.
Right.
He's only calling to ask for money right now.
Right. Yeah. He thinks that this little factory in Rochester is going to make them all rich. But George thinks they should do it in Bedford Falls. Sam asks her to tell George that this is a chance of a lifetime. But George tells her, rather hostilely, that he doesn't want any ground floors or marriage. He wants to do what he wants to do, and he's basically yelling at her and holding her like really roughly. And then he starts hugging her and kissing her and crying. And her mother is not happy at the sight of all this. Okay, so next thing we know, we are at a wedding. They're getting married now.
So we go from him saying, I don't want to get married, to here we are getting married.
Right.
Because he shouldn't have stopped at her house if he didn't want to marry her. Because that's all it took was to share a phone call with Sam about a plastics factory, and now they're getting married.
Right.
So he didn't get in on the ground floor of the plastics factory. Shame on him, he should have, because that's going to be a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
But he did marry the girl. He married the girl.
Ernie is driving the cab that they're riding in, but there seems to be something going on at the bank.
Before we jump to the bank, there's 2 wedding guests I want to announce. We have Mabel Smarney, who was in an episode of I Love Lucy and To Kill a Mockingbird, and Harry Evans, who was in Around the World in 80 Days.
Gotcha. So George runs to the savings and loan. His wife is urging him not to go.
Yeah, they're on their way to their honeymoon.
Right.
And they're taking the cab to go to the train. They have this wad of cash. Their plan is to take this extravagant honeymoon. Spend a week here, a week there, and then afterwards, who cares? They have no plans with their life. They're just together, and they're going to explore the world together. She's doing the thing. She's going with him.
Right.
They're leaving. He's finally his chance to leave Bedford Falls with a wife. He's about to have it all. He doesn't have to choose between the wife and traveling because she's willing to go with him.
Yes.
Until this moment
where
it all comes crashing down.
So George goes into the savings and loan where there's lots of eager people looking to get their money back. These are people who bought stocks within the company. I didn't understand this as a kid.
So these are like their customers who own stock. The first person we meet here is Charlie. He's played by Charlie C. Wilson, who was in It Happens One Night. Charlie's the one who tells him that, like, hey, the bank, the building and loan's locked. The door's not supposed to be locked. Billy's inside.
Right.
The place isn't closed, but Billy locked the door, which is a big no-no to lock your customers out.
Mm. So George goes in. He invites everyone to sit down as he goes and talks to Billy.
And Billy's like, oh, I wish I could have made it to your wedding. You couldn't have closed the place to go to the wedding.
Right.
Like, okay, not like the whole run on the bank, notwithstanding, you can't close the bank right now.
Right.
But presuming we didn't know that was going to happen and this was just a regular day.
Right.
Could you not have closed to go to a wedding? You're the family business.
Right. Within short order, Potter calls with an offer. And it seems like he is the one that started all of this. He ended up calling in a loan or something like that, or something. I don't know.
Okay, I've already explained this to you.
You did.
Off air, but let's do it publicly now.
Okay.
Potter didn't start this. This is the stock market crash of 1929.
Right.
This is the beginning of the Great Depression. This is a national event that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Has nothing to do with Bedford Falls. This is happening in every town across America.
Gotcha.
The depression is happening. It's the stock market crashed. Suddenly everybody wants their money because there's a run on the bank. The banks can't pay out the money because that's not how banks work. And everybody in America is about to become poor overnight.
Yes.
Except Potter and people like him who are so exceedingly rich that it doesn't matter to them that the sky is falling.
Right.
So because Potter keeps his head, he's now taking advantage of every other citizen of this town who's panicking. There's a run on the bank, meaning they want their money now. What Potter's telling him is he personally has decided to back the bank. He's going to take care of he's going to make sure the bank doesn't go out of business, basically. So this is before FDIC.
Right.
Like this is what leads to all that. There is no federal backing of financial institutions. If the bank goes bankrupt, all of its customers just are screwed.
Right.
There's no checks and balances here. The government's not involved at all. That's what's happening. It's all private. So he's saving the day. He's like, I'm going to back the bank and I'm going to, take care of everybody. And the bank's going to close for 1 week and then it's going to reopen. And all you got to do is get through this week and everything's going to be fine. But they're scared. They're panicked. They don't think it's going to be fine.
Right.
So Potter says, I'll take care of your customers too. I'll buy them out. 50 cents on the dollar.
Right.
So I'm going to pay half price for people's stocks, and they're all going to go for it because they'd rather have half of their money than none of their money. And then he's going to own all these people's stocks, and then he's going to have controlling interest of the building and loan and run the place and kick out the Baileys. That's his ultimate goal.
Right.
Is to take over the whole town, which he at this point has basically done. He now runs everything in the town except the building and loan. And he wants it.
George tries to convince people not to cash out, not to go to Potter, to stick together through this. Do not let Potter own even more than he already does.
Billy, so the bank, Potter, had already asked Billy to pay their loan. Gotcha. Billy took all the money they have in the cash register and gave it to the bank.
Gotcha.
Because of the run on the bank. So that happened already.
Okay.
We don't have any. There's no money here.
Right.
There's no money in the cash register. Because that's not how it's supposed to work. So George is like, so he's talking to, let's see, Ed. Tom. There's a bunch of people here. We'll go through them all. One of them is like, I want my whole money. I want my $242. That's Tom. And he's like, okay, fill this out and you'll get it in 60 days. That's your agreement. This isn't a bank. You don't just walk in and we cash out.
Right.
You have an agreement. If you want your money back, you can sell your shares. It's going to take 60 days.
Right.
And now we have chaos, right? Because nobody wants to do that. So the money that they're giving out is the honeymoon money. Mary comes in and she's like, I got $2,000. It's their honeymoon fund.
Gotcha.
That's the money they start handing out to customers.
Gotcha.
It's George, again, sacrificing everything for the sake of the building and the loan, for the sake of his friends, for the sake of the town. Okay, so a lot of people here. We have a relieved banker in Potter's office. So this is somebody that's on Potter's side of the conversation. He's played by Sam Flint, who is in Psycho and 8 episodes of Annie Oakley. And then we've got these bank customers. Ed and Charlie. Charlie we already met about the money. Ed's played by Ernie Adams. He's in The Man with 2 Wives and The Man with 9 Lives.
Oh, okay. A cat, in other words?
I don't know, but I thought those were funny to list together. And then Tom's the one who's like, I want my whole $242. So he takes $242 of the $2,000. He's insistent that he wants it all. He's played by Edward Keane. He was in Showboat and Green Hornet, the 1940 film. Gotcha. And then, this is when we go through this, and Potter tells him, by the way, you can't close your doors before 6 p.m. because if you do, you're never going to reopen. So their thing now is to calm their customers until 6 p.m. in order to not go out of business. So we're going through all the customers, and basically we get to the point where George is convincing them to just take as much of the money as you need to get through the next week until the bank reopens, right? Don't take all of the money. I'm not closing out your account. I'm not selling your stock. I'm just going to loan you personally the money that you need. And we get to the point where people are just asking for like $20 each to get through the week.
Gotcha.
So we have Mr. Randall. Mr. Randall's played by Arthur Stewart Hull. This was his last of 120 credits. And he was also in Casablanca.
Oh, okay.
And then we had Miss Davis, who comes along. She understood the assignment. She asks for $17.50 to get her through the week. And, of course, that just relieves George because he thinks maybe this will work. Maybe this plan will work. Maybe this $2,000 will stretch far enough to appease all of these customers and keep them from going out of business, basically, by not being able to appease their customers.
Gotcha.
And then we have 13 more customers.
Right.
In this scene.
Okay. And you're going to go through them.
I'm gonna go through quick. Ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Let's do it.
These are all building and loan depositors. Louise Bates, who is in A Night at the Ritz. Mary Bayless, who is in Affair to Remember. Herbert Hayward, who is in The Mummy's Curse. Robert Haynes, who is in 3 episodes of The Twilight Zone. Eddie Kane was in The Untouchables and The Ten Commandments. Beulah Parkington was in Knock on Any Door. Loretta Russell was in Funny Face. Mike Lally was in 24 episodes of Columbo and 4 episodes of The Twilight Zone. Wilbur Mack was in 8 episodes of Bonanza and Affair to Remember. Philip Morris, who was in The Grapes of Wrath, and no, he has nothing to do with the tobacco company. I looked. Tom Coleman, who was in the Jackie Robinson Story. And then we had a bank depositor in Charlotte Knight, who was in 2 episodes of Petticoat Junction, 2 episodes of Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and a nervous banker in Sam Ash, who was in The Great Gatsby.
Ooh, okay.
And it was so weird just trying to grab, like, 1 credit from each of these people because most of them had, like, 700 credits.
Right. So, they managed to make it to closing with $2 left. They celebrate, and just then he remembers he got married. And then
he's like, oh, wait, I got a wife.
Right.
Where is Mary at?
Right. So she offered up this money and then left?
Yeah, it's been a long day.
Right.
She didn't stick around. He's probably thinking, like, oh, she's pissed off, she's sulking, maybe she went to her mother's.
Right.
But really, we find out very soon that what she's doing is actually trying to save the wedding night.
So he ends up getting a call, and she tells him to come home. And he's like, where's home exactly? She gives an address, which is
320 Sycamore Street.
Which is to some hotel, apparently.
No, it's the address to that dilapidated house.
Okay.
But he says, where's that? And she goes, the Waldorf Hotel. She's pretending it's the Waldorf, which is the super fancy hotel in New York, which is not where they are. They're at the dilapidated house that nobody lives in, where we broke those windows at 4 years ago.
Gotcha.
So however many years ago.
So when they picks up this place, they're going to have to replace all the windows.
Oh, yeah. This place is in really, really rough shape.
This was apparently set up by Ernie & Co., and there's a sign on it that literally reads Bridal Suite. Yeah,
so Burr and Ernie and then some other guy is with them that I could not ID. The 3 of them are helping Mary. So Mary's inside. They're setting this place up to try and make it as nice and exotic as possible. They're putting up signs, and it's fun. There's literally like rain dripping down inside. It's like really bad shape. But like over in the corner, they set up a fire and a fancy dinner, and there's the bedroom all set up for their wedding suite. So they're helping. They're all helping Mary pull this off, and the same thing George always does, which is put everybody first.
Yep.
She's putting George first.
Well, that's pretty sweet.
She's trying to make this a special night for him because she knows how bummed he is that they are no longer going to be traveling, that they no longer have $2,000, which was probably, it took him a really long time to save that money.
Yep. Mary, with a smile, says, "Welcome home, Mr. Bailey," and then they kiss as the helpers stand outside in the rain. They couldn't sit in the car or something.
They sing to them. They serenade them from the window.
Mary says that back when she broke the windows on this old house that they're in now, This is what she wished for.
This is what she wished for them to end up together and live happy. And I have a question. So they're going to live in this house. We're going to see them fixing up this house over the next however many years. Did they ever actually buy this house? Or are they just squatters the whole time?
I mean, maybe.
Did they just take over the house because nobody cares?
Right, maybe.
Or did they buy the house from someone?
Right, for $1 maybe. Maybe $2.
Like, what's going on with this house? We never really find out how they come to actually live here.
Right, not totally sure, but we cut to what I presume is later in time. He leaves from someplace with a commotion in a car.
Okay, so we're meeting the Giuseppes. We're meeting the Martinis. Giuseppe Martini, who's actually one of the voices at the beginning of the movie that's praying for him.
Yep.
Mr. Martini, he actually runs the bar, Martini's Place, and he's played by William Edmonds, who was in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the 1941 version, and Three Musketeers from 1948. And then his wife here, Mrs. Martini, she's played by Argentina Brunetti. She's in, here's one of our modern credits, an episode of Everybody Loves Raymond.
Ah, okay.
She also was in 2 episodes of The Flying Nun.
Gotcha.
If that tells you anything about the long career she had.
Wow, that's absurd.
And the Martinis are a poor family. What's happening right now is the Baileys are helping them move.
Right.
They have about 512 kids.
Mm-hmm.
That the Baileys load up in their car.
Right.
And they're moving them from this shack in Pottersville to what we're about to be introduced to as Bailey. Is it Baileytown?
Bailey Park.
Bailey Park.
Yes.
So we've now built a whole community of our own, Bailey Park, full of Bailey houses, which are better than Potter houses because Potter houses are shacks and Bailey houses are nice houses that people own instead of rent.
Yep.
So this basically, this is the poor family, and it's just an example of them, how kind and generous people they are.
And as Bailey is about to give a speech about giving this home to the Martinis, Sam Wainwright looks on, and basically George does not seem too happy to see him. Meanwhile, someone is advising Potter to take Bailey Park seriously.
This is the real estate salesman, played by Charles Lane. He was in 4 episodes of I Love Lucy, 2 episodes of the Lucy Desi Comedy Hour, and 4 episodes of The Lucy Show.
Okay.
I recognize him.
Potter basically doesn't really agree with this assessment, and this nervous real estate guy basically says, okay, well, someday, I forgot what he said exactly.
He was like, maybe I'll go work for Bailey.
Right.
Instead of working for you,
Right.
because this is the future.
Right.
We also in the scene met Potter's secretary, who tells him there's a congressman here to see him.
Ooh.
The secretary's played by Almira Sessions. She was in Rosemary's Baby.
Oh, okay.
In an episode of The Munsters.
Gotcha. So, meanwhile, Sam wants to invite George and Mary with his wife somewhere, but George says he can't.
Florida. They're just stopped by to check on the factory, because remember they built a plastics factory here at George's advice.
And Sam is
And
outraged.
apparently it's going well.
Right, yes.
Sam's rich. This is his wife, Jane Wainwright. She's played by Marion Carr. She was in the film Ghost Town. And they're on their way to Florida, and they're like, hey, why don't you guys join us? And he's like, I can't just get in the car and drive to Florida. I have responsibilities. I'm not rich.
Right, yes. So, meanwhile...
And then he kicks his car, because Sam has this nice fancy car, and he has this really old car. And suddenly he's maybe regretting not putting money in the plastics factory a little bit.
Probably. George, meanwhile, ends up in Potter's office as they smoked cigars. George wants to know what he wanted to see him about. Potter says that he owns most of the town except for buildings and loans. George has beaten him, and that takes some doing. George sells him with the truth that he would like to be moving on with his life to other things. He wants to travel, he wants to do this and that. Potter seems to know him quite well. Potter is trying to hire him $20,000 a year, which is about $20,000 less than what I currently make. But I mean, I guess in 19 whatever this was at this point in the timeline is more, significantly more.
Okay. That was weird the way you said it.
What did I say?
I don't know.
Okay. It confused you?
It mathed out, I guess, once I reheard what you said.
Right.
But,
okay.
So we learned that George makes $45 a week.
Right.
Currently working at the building and loan, and that, that's barely scraping by, Potter says. And, as soon as you have a kid, you're not going to have any money left.
Mm-hmm.
So he's offering him $20,000 a year, which George drops his jaw at. According to the inflation calculator, that's over $350,000 in today's dollars.
Okay. So he's offering right now.
What he's offering.
So more than your husband currently makes.
A lot more.
Gotcha.
That's a lot more than what my husband makes. But he's offering him 10 times what he currently makes.
Okay.
That's a pretty big jump that he's offering him.
Yeah. So George is kind of impressed by this. He says he wants his day to think about it. He's really thinking hard. He's tempted by this.
Yeah, he says he's going to go talk to Mary.
And then he's about to shake Potter's hand, and then he thinks better of it.
He realizes what's happening.
He's disgusted and decides he doesn't need 24 hours. He's turning him down right here, hurls some insults at him, and then storms out. And this is another instance where perhaps you would not blame George if he decided to just take this deal.
I mean, maybe he should have.
Right.
Maybe if you're working for Potter, you can help influence him into positive ways.
Perhaps.
Maybe you can end up taking over his company someday.
Maybe
this could have been a good opportunity for you and your family.
I mean, he's pretty old, so he's
it didn't necessarily have to mean evil, terrible things for the town, because you'd still be involved.
Right.
You would just he'd be paying you.
I'm actually kind of curious. Does Potter have any sons?
We never are told anything about Potter's family.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I'm kind of curious about that timeline. Like, what would it look like if he did go to work for Potter?
Okay, maybe we should see it.
And I think he's a good enough of a person that could have been an all right timeline. I don't think it would have been the disastrous timeline that we have at the end.
Right. So George comes home at night. He has memories of what he once told Mary about traveling and this and everything he wants to do, and then lays next to his wife. He asks her, what in the world did she marry him for? And then she drops the news on him that he is in fact about to have a kid, or she's about to have a kid.
So she's telling him she's pregnant.
Right.
Although she's not allowed to use that word because it's the 40s and that wasn't allowed.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we weren't allowed to talk about that in television and movies.
So I guess we weren't allowed to talk about how that happened exactly.
Definitely not.
Okay.
No.
So the senior angel narrates that George never leaves Bedford Falls, and one baby turned into two, and then more than that, and then the war started. Sam got rich, his other friends and Harry are in the war having exploits, and George fought the Battle of Bedford Falls. George shows Ernie that the president decorated Harry Bailey, and he's bragging about it. He ends up talking to Harry on the phone at the bank, but George has to talk to Mr. Carter, the bank examiner, played by Charles Holton. He's uncredited. 207 credits, including The Adventurer in 1917, The Climbers 1919, and Dr. Cyclops in 1942.
He also was in It Happened Tomorrow.
Okay.
That sounds like something up our alley.
Right.
And Jitterbugs. Before we move forward with this, I want to talk about that whole little in-between montage a little bit, because we met some people, some different actors in there too.
Okay.
We had the infant Janie Bailey. This is where we see the babies.
Right.
The infant Janie Bailey was played by Lynn O'Leary Jameson. Her only other credit was 1947 Green Dolphin Street.
Okay.
Then we had little Pete Bailey, played by two babies, I'm assuming twins, Don Collins and Ron Collins. And this was their only credit. Those babies never went into acting. We had a military officer played by Brooks Benedict. He was in Strangers on a Train and Copacabana.
Okay.
And then we had another military officer played by Frank O'Connell, and he was in Sunset Boulevard. So yeah, during this little quick montage, this is the kind of update I feel like, by the way, we needed at that beginning when we're trying to figure out like who's graduating high school and how many years have gone by.
Right.
Just a little dialogue to set the scene, I think, would have helped. But yeah, like you said, we learned that, the war is happening. Their mothers, by the way, Mary and George's mothers both joined the Red Cross, and they're helping out. This is where Mary had 2 more babies, so they got 4 altogether now, 4 kids. But she still had managed to find time to run the USO. So Mary's being helpful in her own right. She's also redecorating the house and making it their home. Sam, who was already getting rich, made a super fortune in the plastics company by making plastic airplane parts for the war. So he was rich before. Now he's like a millionaire.
Nice.
He's uber rich.
Uber rich. Richer than
uber
Potter?
Rich. Yeah, I'm sure. Because Potter's the richest man in the county, but he's like, Sam's over here like traveling the world. He's in Europe the next time we meet him. So
Gotcha.
he's super rich. Potter, this is what I wanted to get to. They told us during this, Potter's running the draft board.
Okay. So
we see him deciding who's being drafted and who isn't. Gower and Billy sold war bonds. So Bert went off to fight and got wounded. Ernie served in France. Marty helped capture the Remagen Bridge. Harry shot down 15 planes, and one of those is what saved a bunch of people's lives, and that's what Harry's getting recognized for. And the reason George stayed home and didn't get drafted is because he was 4F because of the ear thing.
Oh,
because
gotcha.
he's deaf in his ears, why he wasn't drafted. So even though that's a legit reason not to be drafted, like that's what would have happened no matter who was running the draft board, gotta point out the fact that it's Potter that's making the decisions.
Yeah.
That it's Potter running the draft board means he's the one who physically made the decision that even during war, when everybody's going and traveling the world, in war, which isn't good, but everybody's out in the world, George is still stuck in Bedford Falls.
Gotcha.
Even a war and a draft couldn't get him out of this town.
Wow.
And Potter's stamp was on that.
Nice.
Like, just think about that for a second.
That's some level of pettiness.
Like, how he wanted his... And again, it's legit. He's deaf in an ear. Like, that's a real reason.
I'm actually kind of curious. Why was Potter running this draft board?
I don't know.
Why was he making these decisions?
Because he's important. Somebody had to do it.
He's important in this one town. He's
running the draft board of this town.
Okay, I thought he was, like, running the draft board
or the county,
everywhere.
or whatever.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, just think about that. Like, his whole life he wanted to get out of this town, and even the war wasn't enough to get him out of this town.
It's
when
funny,
literally every one of his friends went out.
It's funny, though, because he doesn't seem upset not to be a part of the war.
No, I mean, I don't think he would be, but it's just, there's just, something very ironic about that. That everybody got to go except for him.
Gotcha. Okay, so...
And then we finally flash forward to today.
Yes.
We've made it through years and years and years of flashbacks, and now it's today. It's Christmas Eve, 1946, and we're no longer in Earth time. We're told it's 10 a.m. Bedford Falls time.
Gotcha.
We're finally acknowledging...
that time other places exist?
That there's not just a universal Earth time. So we're getting the final day of the story, Christmas Eve, and Harry's about to come home, and George is very proudly showing newspapers to Bert, Ernie, and Gower about Harry's Congressional Medal of Honor in the newspaper.
Meanwhile, Billy has $8,000 that he's supposed to deposit into a bank. He ends up running into Mr. Potter, and then...
And bragging, showing him the newspaper and bragging.
Right. He seemingly forgets about the money that he has, and accidentally gives it to Potter.
He folds it in the newspaper. Potter takes the paper and the money, and this is just such a devastating moment.
Yes. And for a moment, it seems like he might be doing the right thing. He's about to give it back, and then he's like, no, I don't think I will,
Yeah, so Potter knows exactly what's going on, but Billy goes up to the teller, Horace, who's played by Eddie Featherston, who is in The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. That seems ironic.
Yes.
And Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
So I'm kind of...
And the teller's like, Billy, where's the money you're trying? Here's your deposit slip, but where's the money?
Right. I'm kind of curious. What is Potter not turning in that money a crime?
Absolutely.
So if he gets caught with that money, and he doesn't have an explanation.
He knows it's not his money.
Right.
Yes, he's stealing it.
Yes. So wow, yeah.
$8,000, which is a fortune.
Right. Yeah.
Like, this is the deposit for the whole building and loan company. This is everybody's mortgage payments, basically. This is the entire town's mortgage payments for the month.
Gotcha. Meanwhile,
or however often they, deposit.
Meanwhile, Violet visits the savings and loan. Billy returns to the bank and talks to Harry and is in a panic about the deposit.
Violet is visiting because she is leaving Bedford Falls to go to New York.
Yeah.
She came here to get a letter of recommendation from George so she can get a job in New York, and then he loans her some money because he's like, "You're gonna need money," and she's like, "I'm not here for money. I'm just here for the letter." But he's trying to take care of Violet. She gives him a kiss, kind of halfway between the cheek and the lip. It's like right on the edge of the lips there, and he gets some side eye from the cousins and from the bank examiner about the lipstick on his face.
Right.
And that comes back later, too, that apparently there's some rumors going around about him and Violet.
Gotcha. George finds Harry in a panic, and now George is also in a panic. Or he finds Billy in a panic, not Harry. George goes and looks for the money, retracing Harry's steps, but it's all futile.
And this is where they end up at Billy's house.
Yep.
And this is where we see that in addition to the raven / crow, whatever it is, at his house he has a pet squirrel.
Right. Nice.
He has an owl, a dog, which, that's normal pet, a bunch of other birds, but Billy's a kooky animal guy.
Does he have a crocodile as well?
We didn't see that.
No.
But was that another Quantum Leap reference?
No, it's just like the kind of thing that you do when you're weird and like animals and have a lot of money.
Because Tina has a crocodile.
Yes, Tina does have a crocodile.
Yeah.
So basically they go to the house. George is now becoming extremely hostile because this could lead to bankruptcy and prison. And he's like, "I'm not the one going to prison," and then storms out of there.
Yeah, he's very upset. Rightfully so. And Billy is left crying at his desk because he knows he's the one who fucked up.
Yes.
Which is interesting because maybe Billy should be the one at odds today.
He should be.
But it all comes down to
George.
George taking responsibility, even though he's not the one who lost the money. He, even in this moment when he's like telling Billy, "I'm not the one who's going to go to jail for this," he doesn't mean that. He's going to take the blame.
Yep.
Like he's going to take the blame. He's like, "I'm the runner of this company and I'm going to take the blame for the money being missing."
So, George returns home to his wife. He's clearly down. His kids are played by Larry Sims. 36 credits, including Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. And he was also in a bunch of Blondie movies as well.
He was also in Madame Bovary. And that's the character of Pete.
Jimmy Hawkins, he's one of the few people in this movie that are still alive. 60 credits, including the Kojak the Night Stalker, which was an inspiration for the X-Files. 20 episodes of The Donna Reed Show, and an episode of The Fugitive.
Yes, this is the character Tommy. He's also in 9 episodes of Petticoat Junction. The 20 episodes of The Donna Reed Show that you mentioned, he played 5 different characters throughout those 20 episodes.
Okay. So The Donna Reed Show, that wasn't like a talk show, that was like a...
No, it was like a sitcom.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. And Carol Combs, 27 credits, including Summer of Love in 1958, Peter Pan in 1953, and Mighty Joe Young in 1949. She is also still alive.
She was also in The Boy with Green Hair, which we mentioned earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, and she was in The Adventures of Mark Twain.
And there's another kid that we haven't met yet, but we will in a little bit. George starts crying. It's pretty clear that he is not okay. He's angry. He's snapping at the kids. Mary asks what's wrong, but he doesn't want to really answer the question. He visits his daughter, Zuzu, who's upstairs. She's home because she's sick. And she's played by Caroline Grimes. 20 credits, including something in 2020, Canyonland. 2016, 2 episodes of Cassandra Castle, and The Night with You in 1945. By the way, Caroline Grimes was the one. She's also still alive. She was one of the kids that the sequel to this movie was going to be centered around. The canceled sequel, it never happened. It was going to be set recently, and she was going to play like an angel who was basically talking to one of the Potter's kids or something like that, his grandkids. But yeah, that sequel never ended up happening.
Caroline Grimes was also in Rio Grande and Albuquerque.
Okay.
So yeah, it's Christmas Eve, right?
Yep.
And Mary and the kids are getting ready for a Christmas Eve party. They're decorating the house, and he's just like a mess, right? Obviously, and Mary has no idea what's wrong. So it's this very hostile setting, and he's being a butthead, like
Yes.
he is every time things don't go right.
Right.
And he's being so mean to his kid.
Like I said, they don't paint George as a saint. This is an example of him not being a saint for sure. The only kid here that he's nice to is Zuzu,
Right.
sick. Basically.
Janie's playing the piano, and he's like screaming at her,
Right.
why are you doing that? She's like, I gotta practice for the party. And he's like, I don't want to have a party. I don't want our families over here. It's Christmas Eve, dude.
In the lingo of the current lingo for kids, he's basically crashing out here. He's being mean to everyone. He realizes what he's doing. He apologizes. He seems shaken. But then he goes right back to being angry, and finally he just leaves.
Let's talk a little bit about that scene with Zuzu before he leaves.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually important.
Yeah, so while he's visiting her, again, she's sick. So the way she caught a cold because she walked home with her coat open.
Right.
She walked home without buttoning up her coat. Because she won a flower at school, and she wanted to protect the flower, and she didn't want to squish it in her coat, so she's carrying it against her with her coat open. So she's very proud of her flower, and she doesn't want to go to sleep because she's admiring her flower, and some petals fall off the flower because, she did carry it home in the winter, and it's probably not going to last too long.
Right.
So she asks her dad if he can paste the flower back together, and he pretends like he does, but really he hides the broken petals in his pants pocket.
Right.
Which, again, that becomes a plot point. Zuzu's petals is one of the things I actually remembered about this movie, by the way, was Zuzu's petals. And then when he went back downstairs, when he had his total flip out, there was a phone call from Zuzu's teacher. Mm-hmm. She was calling to check on Zuzu, and he gets on the phone with her, freaks the frick out, screaming at her, why did you let my kid walk home half naked?
Right. Not having a coat on is half naked?
Her coat was on, it just wasn't buttoned.
Oh, okay. And that's half naked?
That's how she got sick.
Are we in the Puritan age?
So he's throwing a fit. Then Mr. Welsh, the teacher's husband, gets on the phone and, screaming at George. So there's this conflict now with the teacher and the teacher's husband, and we're going to meet him later, the teacher's husband. And all this happened before he storms out of the house.
Right.
After, he's throwing things. He's being a really horrible character in this moment.
Right.
And of course, Mary doesn't know what's going on, but as soon as he leaves, she calls Uncle Billy.
And tells the children to pray for their daddy, which of course is important.
Which is where the movie started.
Right.
So the whole opening sequence where everybody's praying for George, that's happening while he's missing. So he walked away, Mary calls Billy, and we're going to find out what they're doing in the meantime. But it's during that time that the kids are praying for him, and eventually everybody in the town's praying for him as the word about this $8,000 spreads around the town. And nobody knows where George is because he's off having a tissy fit.
George goes to Mr. Potter. He explains the situation. He needs to raise $8,000 immediately, and he's taking the blame here. Potter accuses him of embezzlement. And by the way, Potter knows where this money actually is.
Yeah, Potter, if you didn't hate Potter's character before, there's no coming back from this moment.
Right. And asks, what kind of equity does he have? All George has is a life insurance policy. Potter suggests he's worth more dead than alive.
Yeah, so he has a $15,000 life insurance policy, but he only has $500 equity in it, which means I guess he could probably cash out the equity. But Potter's like, that's not collateral.
It's not going to help him any.
Yeah, I don't want that. I'm not going to loan you $8,000 against your $500 equitable life insurance. And he's also, by the way, the one that brings up Violet and is like, hey, there's this rumor about you and Violet going around.
Right. And basically, Potter says, I'm not going to help you, but what I am going to do is call for a warrant for your arrest. And I'm going to remind you that Potter knows full well where this money is.
Right.
He knows that he's not guilty of stealing any kind of money. And he's now going to try to send this man to prison.
Right.
This man who has a family, a wife, and kids who depend on him.
Right.
He is an evil, terrible person, and he experiences no comeuppance in this film whatsoever.
Right.
He's not like...
He's an opportunist. He's like, this is my opportunity to finally own the building and loan, which is what he's always wanted, by any means necessary.
He's never punished for this either.
Yes.
He gets away with it.
That's my biggest complaint with this
Right.
movie is that Potter doesn't get his.
Right.
But we can talk about that later. I learned during this that Potter's like, well, why don't you ask your buddy Sam for the money? Because remember, Sam's a bajillionaire.
Right.
And we're learning that Sam's in Europe, so he can't help. Maybe call Sam in Europe.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. He's obviously not reachable because Mary reaches him.
Right.
So,
yeah.
He didn't think of that.
Nope. So, George leaves and heads to the bar. He prays for someone to show him the way. Nick, the bartender, asks him if he's okay, and he's played by Sheldon Leonard,
This is the Sheldon Leonard,
yes.
by the way.
Yes. He only played the role to buy baseball tickets, according to the X-Ray.
Yeah, so Sheldon Leonard is a producer and a director, namely. He also has a bunch of acting credits. But if you know anything about television history, you know the name Sheldon Leonard.
All right, well, explain it to us.
Okay, he produced and directed series such as The Dick Van Dyke Show,
Yep.
The Danny Thomas Show. He was a writer on The Andy Griffith Show. And dozens of other sitcoms and series throughout television history. 110 acting credits as well. And yes, Bert and Ernie weren't named after these characters, but Leonard and Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory were named after Sheldon Leonard.
Okay.
This is the namesake of those characters.
Gotcha.
Again, this is a very important man in television history.
Gotcha.
And he's here playing Nick the bartender, who's not a very great guy, by the way.
Nope.
I mean, this version of Nick's okay, but the other version we're about to meet isn't. So
Right.
this is Martini's place.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Martini, Giuseppe Martini, which was the dude with 512 kids that we moved from a shack into a Bailey home.
Yep.
He owns this place. Nick is his employee working at the bar. And there's a singer singing while George is praying. Gotta talk about her.
Okay.
The singer is played by Ariana Casoletti, and it's an uncredited listing. Do you know who she is?
I do not.
She's Snow White.
Oh, okay. All right. That's the Snow White that you're talking
She's
about.
Snow
Yep.
White, the actress who, played Snow White in 1937, Snow White, the very first Walt Disney feature film.
Yes.
This is her.
Wow.
She's the singer in the background of Martini's Bar. And she only has a couple of credits, and that's because of Walt Disney. He didn't want her acting. He owned her, basically. Her credits involve a couple of Disney shorts, this film, and these are all uncredited, by the way, just uncredited listings. And she also had a small part in The Wizard of Oz.
Gotcha.
She played Juliet, which was just one single line of dialogue during the Tin Man song. She says, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo?
Gotcha.
And other than that, she never did anything.
Well, that is really sad. I hope she was compensated very well to play.
She was not.
She was not.
She was paid $970.
Okay. And even in that day's money, it was nothing.
I mean, it was, I'm sure it was a good payment for the part.
Yes.
But not once you realize what that film would become, what Snow White would become.
Right. So Walt Disney owned her. She wasn't allowed to do anything else except for these 5 things.
And she wasn't even allowed to have credit as being Snow White. It was a secret.
Okay. And then, so basically, he basically prevented her from making any kind of living.
Right.
Whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming he didn't prevent her from going out and working at a McDonald's or something like that, but she must have done something.
Yeah, but she didn't become some famous actress.
Wow.
Which she should have been, a famous singer, at least. It's freaking Snow White.
Right. Yes.
But she just ended up singing at Martini's place.
Okay. So yeah, George ends up encountering the husband of the teacher,
Mr. Welsh.
Yes, that he yelled at.
Who's played by Stanley Andrews. Mm-hmm. He was in 294 episodes of Death Valley Days.
That sounds like a cheery series.
And 7 episodes of The Lone Ranger.
Okay, so the teacher's husband unfortunately recognizes the name George Bailey, and he promptly knocks him out. He's thrown out. They try to stop George from leaving, but they fail, and this includes Martini himself. He crashes his car.
Because he's driving drunk now.
Right. And we have a man here who's credited as man whose grandfather planted a tree.
Yes.
I didn't get any credits for him.
Let's see. His name is J. Farrell McDonald. He was in My Darling Clementine.
And he's complaining that he ran into that tree that his grandfather planted. He nearly gets run over as he walks to the bridge. He looks down into the water and contemplates jumping. But someone else does it first, and George jumps in to save him. Another person helps him and Clarence. This is the Toll House Keeper. I didn't get any credits for him either.
Toll House Keeper is played by Tom Faden. He was in 6 episodes of Petticoat Junction, plus 3 episodes of Green Acres as the same character, and Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
And this is the first time that we're actually seeing Clarence.
We're seeing Clarence. This is where they meet. So the hour, in Angel Time has gone by, but it took an hour and a half of movie to get here. An hour and a half later, we're finally caught up to the present time, and we're finally getting to the point of this film. On page 13, by the way, of my notes.
So he admits he jumped to save George. By doing so, George didn't go through with jumping and basically ending his
Which
life.
I have a problem with. Okay, come on.
Right.
Clarence is trying to stop George from jumping off the bridge because he wants to jump off the bridge to end his life.
Right.
But the way we're going to prevent him from jumping is by making him jump to save Clarence.
Right. But I guess you're jumping differently when you're trying to die.
I get it that your intent is different, but if it's so dangerous that this is a viable means of ending one's life,
yes,
maybe this isn't how we should be trying to save him.
Right.
Because this could have gone really bad. And maybe I know now why Clarence, hasn't won his wings in 200 years.
Yep.
Because this probably wasn't the smartest move Clarence could have made. There probably was some other way he could have approached George and convinced him not to jump than convincing him to jump.
Right. Clarence says he is the answer to George's prayer. And as he's talking about being an angel and all that, the Toll House Keeper finally just makes a run for it.
Yeah, he believes him.
Right.
He's freaked out and he darts out of there. I don't think this man has a line of dialogue, by the way.
He does not.
But he also feels like kind of an important character that he's here for all of this.
Right.
Now, I wonder, does that man retain his memories from this?
Oh, that's an interesting
Or
question.
is his mind wiped, like Angelita's?
Right, yeah.
In It's a Wonderful Leap.
Right, yes, that would make sense. But, yeah, so Clarence declares himself a guardian angel, his specifically. George thinks he looks like the kind of angel he'd get. So that's a pretty...
George doesn't believe him. Right. Basically. He still doesn't believe him for the next 10 minutes, by the way.
Clarence says he hasn't gotten his wings yet. George thinks that if it weren't for him, everyone would be better off. Clarence realizes this won't be so easy.
And we're talking about the Tom Sawyer book again,
right.
Which also fell in the water. It's drying off along with their clothes drying at the heater. And Clarence makes a line that I do not understand. And if anybody can explain this to me, I would love that. He says, he makes this line like, oh, you should see what Mark Twain is writing now. Like what he's writing next after Tom Sawyer. And I don't understand that.
When did Mark Twain die?
In the 1910s. So he's not writing a book in the 1940s. It's not George's present day we're talking about. It's not when Clarence was alive, because he's been dead for 200 years.
Maybe he's writing in heaven or whatever.
Is that what he meant?
That's
you should see what he's writing now, meaning as what angel Mark Twain is writing?
I guess that would make sense.
Maybe that's what he's talking about. I didn't think of that. But I'm just like, what does he mean, his next book? Like, this isn't fit either of your times. This is something that happened in between those 200 years, and I was very confused. But maybe that's it. Maybe you just solved it for me.
Okay. George thinks it might have been better if he was never born, which gives Clarence an idea. He grants that wish. He has never been born. He doesn't exist. Suddenly, he can hear out of both of his ears.
Yeah, so he's still here.
Right.
Nothing really happened except the wind blew and it stopped snowing. Because George not being alive changes weather patterns.
Apparently so.
Because it stopped snowing, and then later when we switch back to this timeline, it starts snowing again.
Okay. He goes out to find his car. We're told also he, got worth $8,000. That doesn't exist anymore. Right.
His lip's no longer bleeding. His lip was bleeding from the fight he had with the teacher's husband. That's gone because it never happened. But But interestingly enough, he does still have the same set of clothes.
I mean, he has to be wearing something,
He has to be wearing something. But if their whole point is you don't exist, none of this existed, your car doesn't exist, your ear works, but he's wearing the exact same set of clothes. I found that to be...
well, we can't have...
I feel like we needed to do something where those clothes don't exist, but maybe he has like some more generic clothes that are just kind of here for him or something. I don't know. I felt like the fact that he still has the same exact clothes, later we're going to find out the pedals are missing from his pocket. But why is the pocket there in the first place?
Right. I mean, we definitely had to have him wear something because in 1946 you couldn't have a naked George Bailey running around.
Right. And at this point, he's like in his underwear, which is like long johns.
Yeah.
Because his outer clothes is drying. But maybe the outer clothes should be missing. Or he has to borrow like the gatehouse keeper, whatever the frick it's called. Toll house. Maybe he has to borrow some cookies. Toll House just reminds me of cookies. Some other clothes, because his clothes shouldn't be there. That's where I'm at with it.
All right, so when he finds his car is not there, he also encounters the man whose grandfather planted a tree again.
But he doesn't recognize him.
Yep.
Because he didn't see the car crash. And he's like, you scared me. Because he's talking about how he ran into this tree. And he's like, this is the oldest tree in Pottersville.
Yes, we're now in Pottersville.
We're no longer in Bedford Falls. It's called Pottersville.
Mm-hmm. So he goes to the bar, martinis. Nick doesn't remember George and is all hostile now.
And the place is hopping, by the way.
Right.
There wasn't a lot of customers here before, but it's a hopping nightlife in this reality, because the whole town is nothing but a hopping nightlife.
Right. George is surprised by his behavior, and George is now worried about Clarence. Nick eventually ends up kicking them both out.
Nick's being a total asshole.
Right. Doesn't he want customers?
He doesn't like the drink that Clarence ordered.
Right.
Sends him... Clarence is talking about angel stuff, and Nick's looking at them kind of funny, like, who are you? I don't need your character here. Okay?
Right.
And he doesn't know George. I mean, that's the most important part, is George is talking to him like they're friends, and he's like, I don't know you, pal. Why are you talking to me like you know me? And also, the Snow White's no longer singing, by the way. She's gone. We have a piano player doing music now. Piano player in Nick's place is played by Mead Lux Lewis, who he's credited as popularizing boogie woogie music. He's a musician.
Gotcha.
A renowned musician, from what I gather, of the era.
So Mr. Gower comes in. He's still alive?
Yes.
Okay, so how old is this man?
Again, we have to assume he was younger in 1919.
Than what he looked like?
Yes.
Okay.
Not that he's older now.
So he comes in looking bad, and of course he doesn't recognize him. He doesn't recognize George. And the new history is that Mr. Gower spent 20 years in jail for poisoning that kid because George was not there to prevent it. Clarence explains he wasn't there to... Oh, we just said that. Basically he's told that as they're...
They're physically thrown out, because if you know that criminal, you must be a criminal too, and that was the last straw. You know Gower? Out of here. No good. Bye-bye.
So Clarence says he was never born. There is no George Bailey. Clarence says that he has been given a great gift of knowing what the world would be like without him. George wants to go home and tells Clarence to shut up.
And this is when he finally realizes the building says Nick's place, not Martini's place. Martini doesn't own it because, remember, he still lives in the slums. He never moved up in life.
Right.
And this is where we also learned that Zuzu's pedals are missing from a pocket, as well as he has no wallet, no ID, no identity. A few more people here. A lot more people here, actually, so bear with me. We had the bouncers that kicked him out. Nick's bouncers, played by Sid Schindel. He was in The Secret Life of Walter Mitty and Copacabana. And the cashier/assistant bouncer is played by Max Wagner. He was in Young Frankenstein and 102 episodes of Gunsmoke.
Okay.
There's more.
Okay, more.
Those were the two that X-Ray announced.
Ah.
Now I have a whole list of people I pulled in that I'm assuming is here where we met them. Nick's waitress, played by Suzanne Ridgway. She was in Around the World in 80 Days. Nick's bartender, played by Charles Sullivan. He was in 15 episodes of Zorro. A bar patron, played by Willie Bloom, who was in How the West Was Won, Another Quantum Leap title reference. How the
yes.
Test was won.
Gotcha.
And Breakfast at Tiffany's. We have a bar patron in Best Flowers who has 1,119 acting credits.
Now, typically, when you would see an actor with credits like that, you would assume voice work, but I'm thinking that's not the case here.
Among those 1,119 credits was 5 episodes of The Lucy Show, 5 episodes of Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and Gone with the Wind.
Wow, that's
and over 1,000 other things.
Right, literally 1,000 other things.
We have a bar patron in Jack Gordon. He was in 63 episodes of Bonanza, 2 episodes of The Dick Van Dyke Show. A bar patron in Jack Lomas, who is in The Story of Seabiscuit. I had no idea there was a movie about Seabiscuit before Seabiscuit.
Wow.
But there was.
That's good to know.
We have a bar patron in Evelyn Moriarty. She was in 8 episodes of I Dream of Jeannie. Plus, she was Barbara Eden's stand-in on a few episodes.
Oh, that's cool.
And you know who else she was a stand-in for?
Who's that?
Marilyn Monroe in the movie The Misfits.
Oh, that's funny. Okay.
Which is another tangential quantum leap thing. Because without Sam Beckett, there wouldn't be no The Misfits.
Right, exactly.
So here we go. We also have a bar patron played by Bob O'Connell, who was in The Lemon Drop Kid. And one more in Konstantin Romanoff, who was in Dante's Inferno.
Gotcha. Okay, well,
that's also a quantum leap reference, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that
was
actually
mentioned in a movie.
Yep. Disco's Inferno.
Disco Inferno.
Yeah.
Right, where they actually mentioned Dante's Inferno
Gotcha.
in the episode. Whew, so that's the bar scene.
Wow, that's craziness.
So yes, I wouldn't normally have gone into all of this level of uncredited listings, like the ones who aren't in the X-ray, who don't talk, the ones who are actually like who we would consider uncredited. But once I started looking at them, I was like, there's some pretty interesting stuff in here. Right. So I was like, I have to look up everybody.
Right.
Because look at how many of these cool things I wouldn't have found if we didn't go that deep.
Absolutely. They don't call us a deep dive TV podcast for nothing. Okay.
So he leaves and he's on his way home.
Yep. George travels down Pottersville, which has a bunch of clubs.
It's bars, a hopping place.
Yeah, bars, strip clubs, the whole it's
pool halls.
It's kind of funny that they even allowed them to show that because
it was like girls,
right?
20-cent dance or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So the buildings and loans went out of business years ago. We see Violet in the crowd.
Getting arrested.
Right. For what exactly?
Something to do with a sailor.
Okay.
She's like, oh, that sailor was lying. I imagine she's up to no good.
Or something?
She's up to no good, Violet.
Right.
That's all we can guess. The cop arresting Violet, by the way, is played by Jack Cheatham. He is in Murder in Times Square and A Fig Leaf for Eve, where he also plays a cop.
He gets in a car with Ernie, who's driving the cab. He of course does not know George. He lives a very different life. He has Bernie follow them.
George is trying to you're Ernie, whatever your last name is, and you live in Bailey Park, and your wife, and he's telling him and he's like, dude, I don't know what Bailey Park is, but I live in a shack in Potter's Field, and my wife left me 3 years ago.
Right.
Because remember, we learned at that first meeting after Peter died that George is the one who got him a loan and got him a house.
Right. And basically he thinks that George is crazy. I mean, the way he's acting, I can't say I blame him.
Yeah, so he signals to
Bernie.
This is Ernie. He signals to Bert.
Bert, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah. This is Ernie, the cab driver. He signals to Bert, the cop, who follows them to 320 Sycamore Street, which is still a dilapidated house, of course.
Yep, no one has lived there in 20 years. He calls for his family, and Clarence appears to tell them that his family isn't there.
Yeah, the kids don't exist, dude.
Right. Aren't you getting it yet? George gets away, and Clarence ends up disappearing. He gets away from the cops that are trying to arrest him. He goes to his mom's house, and of course his mom doesn't recognize him and won't let him in.
She now runs a boarding house because she never had this child, and we didn't explicitly say it yet, but her other kid's dead.
Yep.
Her husband's dead.
Here, Billy is in the insane asylum since he lost his business.
Yeah.
Clarence tells him that a man touches many lives, And when he isn't around, he leaves a hole.
And those lives touch other lives.
Yes.
And those lives touch other lives.
George thinks he's in some kind of spell. George thinks he needs to find Martini, who lives at Bailey Park.
Because it's the last person he saw before all this started. When he was, right before he went to the bridge, Martini was the last person he saw.
But there's nothing there but tombstones.
It's a graveyard!
Yes. So if he isn't there to make Bailey's Park, it just becomes a graveyard.
Which it already was.
Okay.
So this is something I think worth mentioning. That Bailey Park's maybe not like the savior that we're presented it is, because these graves are older than the houses would have been.
Right.
And even that, I forget what he was credited, the real estate guy or whatever that was talking to Potter, told him, like, when he was like showing him the map of Bailey Park, he was like, yeah, this used to just be a cemetery here. So the cemetery existed. They took out a cemetery.
Okay.
To make Bailey Park is what I'm getting at.
All right.
So that's probably not the best decision.
Right.
To begin with. So I'm just saying, like, everything's not perfect in It's not such a wonderful life if you're ripping up graves to make your houses.
Alrighty. Well, that's pretty gruesome.
Because one that already exists here is, from 1919.
Right.
Which, we're about to see. It's his brother's grave.
Right. Yeah, so his brother Harry died when he was 9 because George wasn't there to save him. And the lives Harry saved also died.
Yeah, all the people that he saved in the war. But what about this? Here's my problem with the fact that, Harry died when he was a kid because he fell through the ice and you weren't there to save him. Would those other kids have not have saved him? There was a dozen kids there.
No, they just let him die.
They just let him die.
Yeah.
Also, even if they weren't going to save him, would he even be there in the first place?
Oh, yeah.
Because all these kids were George's friends. They're all 4 years older than Harry. Mm-hmm. It was Sam and Marty. That's who was hanging out there. He's just the little brother that's hanging out with them. Would he have even been there that day to fall in the ice if George didn't exist? Because he wouldn't be hanging out with these kids in the first place.
Yeah, probably not. But at the same time, this is Clarence trying to convince him to, not die. So maybe this is fabricated.
Yeah, but, I mean... That's a thing that we could talk about. I don't know what to say about it, though, because, yeah, obviously this is fake.
Right.
But also, it's a representation from the angels of what the world would be like without you.
Right.
So there has to be some truth in what they're presenting at the same time,
No, there doesn't have to be any truth whatsoever.
Doesn't have to be?
It could all be lies, which is unethical and something an angel probably shouldn't do, but... Who am I to judge the angels? I don't know. But yeah, you're right. The 4-year-old younger kid would not be hanging with those kids in order to drown in that lake. But maybe some other thing caused his death.
I mean, maybe. But I felt like this was... this goes back to what we said about feeling like this as kids watching this movie and now watching it now, feeling like this part of the movie is too short.
Yes.
This is the type of thing we could have expanded on if
Yes.
we had spent more time in the alternate reality and less than an hour and a half telling us how we got here.
Right.
We could have spent more time diving into what actually changed in the world instead of the very quick exposition we're given that doesn't always make sense.
Right. George asks, so Clarence says that he had a wonderful life. George asks where Mary is. At first, Clarence won't say.
He's like, I'm not allowed to tell you. Why not?
Right.
Isn't the whole point of this to show him?
Right.
Why are you not allowed to tell him that?
But he ends up telling George that she's an old maid who never got married. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't believe that. Donna Reed, who's playing Mary here, she's kind of attractive. She's very pretty.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but somebody.
It wasn't going to be Sam.
Right.
Like, that's what we're being told,
Right.
It's not that he stole her from Sam.
Right.
She wasn't going to end up with Sam in the first place. He's in New York hanging off of some woman already.
Right.
Right after graduation. But, right. There are other people in the world.
Yes.
Besides George Bailey and Sam
Wainwright. Yeah.
Right.
Someone else would have taken an interest. And I'm sure she would have taken an interest as well.
Right, because she can't be caught up on George her whole life because George never existed in the first place.
Right.
So she would have had a crush on somebody else.
Right.
Right?
So he yells at. Oh yeah, okay. So George asks where he is. Basically, she became an old a maid. She never got married. He gets angry and demands to know where she is. Clarence tells her that she's just about to close up the library. George ends up finding her.
And the way they make her try and look all like homely and old.
Right.
Come on. Like, they put her in these glasses and she just looks terrible.
Right.
Like, they purposely, like, made her look like she couldn't possibly be anybody worthy of having a life without George Bailey, right?
I mean, all you need to do to look ugly is to put on a pair of glasses.
And she, like, had her hair pinned back weird.
Right. I mean, that's a common cinema trope, even to this day.
It's really, like, yeah, this wouldn't stand up in a modern story.
No.
That this is all it took for her to, like, just do nothing with her life and become, you know, this pathetic creature that's just, like, so detached from the world that, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, she doesn't even look like the same person.
No.
Just because she didn't get married.
She didn't marry George. She needed George to save her. So, yeah, this encounter doesn't go well. He ends up running into the bar after her.
She's screaming and running away from him because, I mean, yeah, this guy you don't know is, like, trying to grab you. I get it.
He barely gets away. He gets shot at, but I think Bert is the one that shoots him.
Yes, it becomes a whole scene. We see all these people that we've already met. Tom, Ed, and Charlie, who were all customers of the bank we met before, and he's trying to talk to them, and they're like, you know me, right? She's my wife. Vouch for me. He's still not getting it.
Right.
And yeah, he ends up getting shot at.
Right.
Because he's chasing this woman.
He yells for Clarence, begging for help, begging to get him back to his wife and kids. He wants to live again. He cries that
And he's back at the bridge
Right.
where he ends up.
He cries that he wants to live again. A police car drives up. It's Bert asking him if he's okay. George is surprised that he knows him. His mouth is...
Because now he gets it.
Right.
He didn't get it 2 minutes ago.
Right.
That nobody in there recognizes him, but now he gets it.
Yeah, his mouth is bleeding. He gets all excited and yells Merry Christmas and is excited that his car is still in a wreck. And
So his pedals are back.
Right. He yells Merry Christmas through the streets and even says it to Mr. Potter, who's like, yeah, go to jail already. Go home. Where there's going to be some people waiting for you there that you don't want to meet. He's even excited to go home and find the bank examiner and the cop with a warrant for his arrest, saying, it's wonderful, he's going to go to jail.
Yeah, he's very happy to see the bank examiner, and the sheriff is here.
Yep.
The sheriff's played by Al Bridge. He was on Strangers on a Train.
Okay.
That's a great movie.
Yep.
As well as Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. There's a photographer with the sheriff, played by Dick Gordon. He's in The Flame Fighter and Phantom Police. And then there's Man with Sheriff, played by Burt Morehouse, who was also in The Long, Long Trailer, the Lucy and Desi movie.
Okay.
And Sunset Boulevard. So there's just these four men hanging out in the house. Mary's not here, I want to point out.
Right.
Kids are upstairs.
Right.
She left to go do her thing. Their four children are just in the house. And these four men, including the sheriff, are just, like, waiting downstairs.
That seems sketchy.
Very weird.
Yes.
This is definitely not something that would happen in a modern story, where the kids are left home alone and the cop's just waiting to arrest the dad.
Right.
And it's not because you left your kids home alone.
His kids say Merry Christmas, and he excitedly greets them. He runs up the stairs and gives hugs and kisses, and all the serious people downstairs look very, very confused as to what is going on. His wife comes home and gets in on the hugging and kissing action. Mary drags them all downstairs, declaring it a miracle.
It's a miracle!
Uncle Billy and everyone comes inside with piles and piles of money. Everyone in the town contributed, including Violet, who suddenly decided to change her mind. She's not going to go to New York.
She's not going to New York, so she gives him back the money he loaned her. And everybody's just giving all their money to George Bailey.
Yeah, everyone piles in as George laughs, everyone who is thankful to George. Sam Wainwright, by telegram, ends up giving $25,000 to the Emperor, which is way more money than he needed.
Yeah, so doesn't that mean all these people don't need to leave their life savings on your table?
Right.
Maybe they're okay to, like, take their money and run because
Right.
Sam's going to bail you out, which is where you should have went in the first place. Potter even told you that.
Right. And then everyone breaks into song, including the bank examiner.
And by the way, the sheriff rips up the warrant for his... Just because there's money here doesn't mean the warrant's void, by the way.
Right.
We still need to, like, rectify the payment and all this.
Still, technically speaking, a crime was committed. I mean, at least as far as they're concerned. Like, does it really matter that people brought in
Right, like, we still need to investigate this.
Right, yeah.
I don't feel like this is very accurate, that we're just like, you got money now, cool, we're going to rip up that warrant. Now, there's another photographer. There was a photographer with, there was the photographer with Sheriff. Now there's a photographer/reporter played by Franklin Parker who takes their picture. He was in an episode of The Donna Reed Show. So there's another reporter here.
And then Harry comes home, who raises a toast to the richest man.
Harry's here! We haven't seen him in a while.
Right. He raises a toast to the richest man. I'm assuming he's referring to George. Because he's rich because He's
rich because of the friends, which is what we're going to get to in a second with the book thing.
He picks up a book, and then we learn that Clarence did indeed get his wings. And we hear, and basically the book is signed by Clarence.
It's Tom Sawyer, the book that he was reading the whole movie. It's an inscription from Clarence telling him that no man is a failure who has friends. And thanks him for the wings.
We hear the bells jingling, and Zuzu says that every time the bell rings, an angel gets its wings, which is a reference to something earlier in the film. I don't know if I brought that up or not. George...
Yeah, we probably should have brought that up.
Right.
George... It was something Clarence was talking about when they were at Nick's place, the alternate timeline bar.
George smiles and says that that's right, as everyone continues to sing, and now George is singing as well, and that is
They sing Auld Lang Syne.
Yes.
Which, by the way... Wrong holiday, people.
Right, yes.
Was that a Christmas song before it was a New Year's song?
Actually, I don't even know, but whatever.
One of the X-ray facts said that originally it was supposed to be Ode to Joy that ended the movie, but for some reason they switched to Auld Lang Syne.
Gotcha. I didn't even know that song existed. I didn't know what that even was, but
What?
The song.
Auld Lang Syne?
Yeah, I didn't.
You know the New Year's song?
I had never heard that song.
It's sung every year at New Year's when the clock strikes midnight and the ball drops.
Gotcha.
You sing Auld Lang Syne.
All right, so I never knew that the name of the song, basically. So I guess I knew the song, but just not the name.
Okay.
All right. So that's it. That's the movie. It's over.
And I have a whole other page of people to talk about.
All right.
All right. These are all the people I didn't place that have uncredited listings. I think I just pulled one credit for each of them, even though, again, some of them have hundreds and hundreds of credits. I was out of steam by this point. Okay?
Right, I can imagine.
So
I ran out of steam long before that.
Okay, so here's all the rest of the people on IMDb. Townswoman, played by Jean Acker, who's in A Star is Born. Townswoman, played by Manya Andre, who's in one episode of The Lucy Show. Young Girl, played by Beth Belden, who is in My Blue Heaven. Townsman, played by Joseph E. Bernard, The Clay Pigeon. Girl, played by Dolores Boucher, who is in Behind Green Lights. Young Boy, played by Buzz Buckley, who's in It's a Great Life. I think that It's a Wonderful Life must have become more popular than It's a Great Life.
Right, yes.
We have a policeman, played by Lane Chandler, who's in 9 episodes of Maverick. A townsman, played by Tom Chatterton, who is in Rosie the Riveter. We have an elderly woman, played by Bern Davis, and note this, she was born in 1898.
Oh.
So she was only 48 years old when this movie came out, but she's credited as elderly woman, and I'm very offended.
That's very sad. We're not far along from being credited as elderly woman.
48 years old. She's credited as elderly woman. She was in East of Eden. We have a girl played by Marilyn Dialin, who only has 5 credits, but they include, in addition to this movie, Strangers on a Train.
Okay.
A Place in the Sun, and Around the World in 80 Days.
Okay. So
only 5 credits.
Some pretty famous
but they're all pretty powerful credits.
Right.
Which was striking to me.
Yeah.
We have a townsman played by Herschel Graham. He was in 2 episodes of I Love Lucy, an episode of the Lucy Desi Comedy Hour, and 2 episodes of The Lucy Show. We have a woman played by Jean Harrison, who was in White Christmas and Singing in the Rain. We have Man in Fantasy, played by John Indrisano, who was in Birdman of Alcatraz. Woman, played by Beverly Ruth Jordan, who was in To Catch a Thief. Townsman, played by Carl Kent, who was in The Sound of Fury. Townswoman in Effie Liard, who was in 13 episodes of The Stu Irvin Show. Townswoman in Arlene Mack, who is in Robin Hood of Texas. Elderly man, played by Charles Meekin, who was in Miracle on 34th Street. Townsman, played by Jack Mower, who was in A Night to Remember, which is a telling of Titanic.
Okay, yes. It came up a couple of times.
We have Townsman Anton North Pole, who was in Brigadoon.
Ooh.
Another Quantum Leap thing.
Yep.
And Houdini. We have Bill Poster. And I couldn't figure out who the Bill Poster was. I tried that one. He was played by Carrie Owen, who was in Arsenic and Old Lace. We have an elderly woman played by Netta Packer, who was in Mighty Joe Young. Townswoman Edith Russell was in Funny Face. Townsman Cedric Stevens was in The Senator was Indiscreet.
Okay.
Man in Fantasy, played by Brick Sullivan, who was in 30 episodes of Gunsmoke and 29 episodes of Wyatt Earp. And the last person is Townsperson, played by Alan Ward, who was in Till the End of Time, which felt like a fitting final credit to read.
Absolutely. Well, yep, that was It's a Wonderful Life. Like I said, classic film. That definitely deserves it. We're told nowadays. And actually, this movie is so famous that there's been 1,000 variations of this type of movie.
Sure.
One of which we are going to cover.
One of which we're going to cover next. It gets its namesake from this movie anyways,
right. Yeah.
And that is It's a Wonderful Knife.
Yes.
We'll be covering that next.
Yep, and it's actually the reason why I convinced you to cover this movie, because for the past couple of Christmases I suggested it, you turned me down. You had no interest in doing it. When we decided to cover It's a Wonderful Knife, you said, okay, finally we'll do this movie. So
let's do It's a Wonderful Life so we can talk about It's a Wonderful Knife and have like a real point of reference. But here's the thing. I don't think there's an awful lot in that movie that actually references this movie much at all.
No.
Other than the basic premise of somebody wishing they were never born.
Okay.
But we'll get to that next time.
Yes, we will.
And if there's any little references to compare, we'll bring them up.
Yep, absolutely.
Then again, I already said this, but my biggest kind of thing with this is Potter never got his.
No.
He kept the $8,000.
Yes, which is a crime. That's called theft, stealing.
And nobody ever found out where the money went.
Right.
Uncle Billy's going to die knowing he's the reason the money was lost without knowing what happened to it.
Right.
It's sad.
It is sad.
The whole town came together. The whole community, rallied and took care of George Bailey, who was, so important to them. But Potter never gets taken down.
I mean, eventually he's going to die.
But we needed something to happen to Potter at the end of this movie.
Absolutely. Like, something bad had to happen.
The only bad thing that happened is he doesn't get the building and loan.
Right.
But he got $8,000 out of this deal.
Right. So, yeah, what is he going to do with that money? He definitely needed some kind of comeuppance, and this is a feel-good film and all that, but... and you would expect something bad to happen to Mr. Potter, but it does not.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my biggest, probably pet peeve about the whole thing is what about Potter?
Right. Yes. All right. We'd like to, do you have anything else to say before concluding?
I think I said a lot.
I think we all did.
My throat's pretty done talking,
okay.
So I think we should wrap it up.
All right. We'd like to hear from you. What do you think of this podcast? What do you think of this movie? Stacie, be reached at.
I can be reached on Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at TVN Coupon Talk.
If you like this video and want to support the channel, the number of ways to do so, you can follow me on Twitter at Core Productions. You can join the Core Productions membership for 99 cents a month. You can join the Core Productions Facebook page. You can buy something from the Core Productions store on Zazzle. You can buy me a copy. And of course, you can like, share, and comment on this video as well as subscribe to the channel. This is Dave and Stacie from Core Productions, signing off.